Studios all night. If you up, smash that like button. Welcome to Black and the Black Times Infinity. I'm your host, Cthulhu's Prodigy, coming to you live and direct from the stack. Smoke me out, fam, with that dang shit. On my left, Blue.
I got nothing.
God damn. On my far right, engineering on the ones and twos, choking people out on threes and fours, Chronos.
This world can be toxic, especially when your skin looks like chocolate.
Last but not least, we got your boy Stitch.
VOTE vote.
All right, we back up in here. One more again. Chronos, you usually got some statistics for us.
That I do. The listener of the week would be Sarah. Thank you very much for listening. And first in the chat is Mile High Blur. What's going on?
What up? What up?
Good to see you again, fam.
Congrats to his Nuggets. Old Ninja. Oh, we didn't even mention him. Old Ninja is taking care of meeting with his parole officer and getting some menthol cigarettes.
Don't drop the soap.
God damn. All right. Usually he pours out some type of malt beverage, and we got some big ones this week. I'm going to start with the one in the middle. I think this was literally from today. Gale Sayers, Hall of Famer, Chicago Bear, running back, dies at 77. He was in that film in 1971. This is before everybody was born except for Old Ninja. Brian's Song.
Yeah.
And he played 7 seasons in the NFL. One of the greatest running backs of all time, just passed away. So RIP to him.
Yeah, he also is the youngest person to be inducted into the NFL Hall of Fame. He got in at 34 years old, which is absolutely amazing if you think about it. I believe Tom Brady's like 41 right now. So you got somebody who was 34 that I don't know. They had to wait after their career was done, but especially if you talk to anybody from like Chicago, he was pretty much their star athlete. It's sort of like their Joe Montana and everything. Yep. How in the Bay Area we love Joe Montana, Steve Young. In Chicago, it's like Walter Payton, Gale Sayers.
I saw something that was funny, and it can't be proven, but someone on Twitter was saying he's the whole reason why in Madden they have the juke moves for the running backs.
Could be.
Nice.
All right, you want to do the next one, Kronos?
Oh, give me 1 second. Yes, you want me to do Joseph? I can't even say his last name. Attorney? Well, I'm pulling a blue here. Joseph Laternius, also known as the WWE wrestler or the WWF wrestler, but if you were back in my day watching this, as the Road Warrior Animal, who passed away.
Laurinaitis.
Laurinaitis, there we go. That now sounds familiar. I can't remember the last name. All right.
Yeah.
I looked at it, I was like, man, there's a lot of vowels in there. Anyway, he passed away, and he's part of the Road Warriors, which is an awesome tag team duo back in the day when I was watching wrestling back in the 90s. They were awesome. They just ran through Rec Shop and just left. It was dope. His partner was Road Warrior Hawk. In the 90s, the 80s, they won multiple tag team championships as a Legion of Doom, and they were inducted into the Hall of Fame in 2011. Laurinaitis had a son, James, who was a linebacker for Ohio State, and later was a second-round draft pick for the Rams in 2009. He passed away on September 22nd at the age of 60 due to natural causes. So RIP.
That is super young for natural causes. Goddamn.
Well, yeah, but he was a wrestler and he did a lot of roids.
Yeah,
he was notorious for going through road rages behind the scenes.
To me, that sounds like the opposite of natural causes, but I'm going to leave it be.
Well, if you take 35 pounds of steroids every day, then it's natural that you're going to die young.
Yep.
So, yeah,
it's
unfortunate.
I'm looking at our topic list and it looks like a goddamn essay. I'm like, wait, fuck, am I on the right page?
Yeah,
the next one is like super important.
Yeah, so. I think that's the format that Old Ninja goes through. Who wants to do this one? Stitch, you want to do it?
I can't see the list, but are we talking about Ruth Bader Ginsburg?
Ruth Bader Ginsburg, yeah.
Okay. She actually somebody else do it. kid is screaming in the background.
Oh, that's all.
Go ahead, Kronos.
Okay, so Ruth Bader Ginsburg was born Joan Ruth Bader, Chief Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg. I don't know who put that really weird. Has passed away. She was the second woman to serve on the Supreme Court. She has many accolades throughout her career. I actually went through, there's a really good Radiolab podcast that they actually re-released. I think it's something about sex, but it's like the latest one that came out, and it's about how Ruth Bader Ginsburg kind of rose to power using these really strange, subversive methods to win over the Supreme Court back when she was working for the ACLU. So it's basically one of her landmark cases about how she got equal rights for women through some weird obscure law. I think it was Kentucky, where women were at the age of 18 were allowed to buy beer that was 3.2% alcohol, but men had to wait until they were 21, because the reasoning was that women were less rambunctious than boys, well, the girls were than boys. So yeah, she used that, and she it was like this really crazy, like drawn out method of showing how it's, even though something appears to be sexist against men, it's also sexist against women, that you would assume that they're like a certain way. So it's really interesting thing. So definitely check out that podcast. Anyway, she was a professor of law at Rutgers University from 63 to 72. She's one of the few women that attended Harvard Law, the first woman to be hired with tenure at Columbia University School of Law from 1972 to 1980. She was a leader of the ACLU's Women's Rights Project and took on gender discrimination cases throughout, though most of her clients were men. She took on a case of Virginia Military Institute to let women enter into an all-male academy. She was appointed as a Supreme Court Justice in 1993 by Bill Clinton. She is the first Supreme Court Justice to officiate same-sex ceremony. Oh, it's nice calling me. Yeah, it's going to keep buzzing. All right. Anyway, she was credited with inspiring Lilly Ledbetter Fair Pay Act, which was signed into law in 2009, making it easier for employees to win and pay on discrimination claims. She is most famous for the 2013 Voting Rights Act, where she had a fiery dissent, which got her notoriety. She has been given the nickname Notorious RBG. She has, I'm going to go off the script here because it gets kind of long. But basically, she was a tiny woman that had a tremendous presence in any room, much less the courtroom. And when she was in the courtroom, like the arguments that she made, the things that she said were incredibly impactful from somebody that was just like this tiny person. She was in fastidious shape throughout most of her life, but pretty much all of her life. At somebody her age, she was working out every single day. And I feel bad that we had to rely so much on those women to keep a balanced court system at the later part of her life. Like she literally had to stay, she felt the obligation to stay on as a justice because of her current president. And that's saying something. And on her deathbed, she made comments on that,
Yes.
which we'll probably get into later. But yeah, she was incredibly, well-respected person, and RIP to her, and condolences to like all of her fans that are out there, which are many.
One of the cool cases I came across with hers was there was a father whose wife passed away, and like he wanted to have more time off from his job so he can spend more time with his kids, and his work was like, no, you're the man, you need to work like crazy hours and blah blah blah. And she helped like overturn that, and so this guy was able to spend more time with his family, because that's technically a stereotype for men that we're meant to work all these hours, and like somebody else is supposed to take care of the kids, and like this guy just felt like that wasn't the case, which I thought was great.
Well,
Also,
yeah, that's what
I was like,
go ahead.
oh, sorry. I was going to also say one of the sort of well-reported things is that when she did attend the Harvard Law School, she was one of only 9 women in a class of about 500 men in 1956. And the dean of the Harvard Law Schools said, "Why are you at Harvard Law School taking the place of a man?" and everything. So her and the rest of the classmates were chastised for actually being there and taking the spot of what was believed to be a better deserving male student and everything. She ended up becoming the first in her finishing first in her law class there. But yeah, she was a champion for equal rights, against gender discrimination, also for women abortion rights, in terms of like not making sure that the government didn't do anything or get in the way of having a woman's right to choose or pass laws on what a woman wants to do with her body. And it is just a long list. We probably spent half the podcast going over her accomplishments and some of the things she stood for, and was very hands-on in battling for in the Supreme Court.
Real quickly, one of the things that I respected from her quite a bit was just she handled fame really well, because there's not a whole lot of Supreme Court justices that the average citizen can name off the top of their head, and she certainly got a lot of notoriety and a lot of fame. Kronos alluded to it with the whole notorious RBG stuff, but she seemed to have a sense of her own celebrity, but also took obviously her legal career as a Supreme Court justice very seriously too. So being able to balance that was something that I respected quite a bit about her. And then obviously, being up there and battling cancer like a fucking trooper for years and years and years is just got to be something that you have to respect from just a physical and mental standpoint. She put up a fight like nobody's business well into her, late 70s and 80s. I think she battled cancer 4 or 5 times. I lost track of the number, but it was a
It
lot.
was a lot, yeah.
And she was only 5'1", by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So she passed away on September 18th, 2020, and at the age of 87. So yeah, one of the things that, just real quick, that I thought was really cool about her is that she called herself a feminist, but it was in like the old traditional sense where she fought for equal rights for both sides. I think that's what a lot of what I call throwaway feminists don't really seem to understand, is that you might fight for equal rights, but it's unequal on both sides. So I think when you want to talk about fighting for rights, it comes from both sides, because there's a lot of stuff that happens to men that are unequal that don't happen to women, and vice versa. And she recognized that and was really a champion for those rights. And I think hopefully there'll be more people like her. She's definitely inspired a generation, multiple generations.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Holy shit, man. What a fucking week. I think that was the last one, right? There's no more?
Yeah. The last one, as far as I know.
Boy.
Yeah, so I guess we're just getting right into the
Yeah,
show.
I mean, there's lots of shits that we can get into. Which one do you want to start with?
The most pressed, the one thing that happened today.
Okay.
Yeah.
Set it up.
Steph, you go ahead and set it up, man.
All right. Well, earlier this week,
Okay.
I'm good. Earlier in this week, you sort of saw. I don't know. It wasn't really all that widely reported, maybe as it should have been, but you could start sort of reading the tea leaves. It was reported that there was like an internal memo with like the Louisville Metro Police Department that like all vacation was going to be canceled. No time off was going to be approved for this upcoming week. Normally that's done when you need something for all hands on deck, and it was sort of implied that they were going to be coming out with a decision on what was going to proceed with the Breonna Taylor grand jury, and if they were going to charge the officers, and et cetera. So immediately, doesn't really look like good news was coming down the pipe. And today they announced that one of the officers, I believe 3 officers really directly involved in it, was actually going to be charged with a crime. They got, I don't have his name in front of me, but they charged him with first-degree wanton endangering, and pretty much it's like doing something with extreme disregard or recklessness, according to the Kentucky, I guess, penal code and everything, for the incident that happened with Breonna Taylor losing her life. Where it gets really disgusting and messy is that when you hear what the Attorney General kind of played at, is that essentially he's being charged for firing his firearm and in a reckless manner, and it entered into a neighbor's home.
Yep.
From what it was worded, which is really odd and strange. So the charge faces a maximum of 5 years per count, according to Kentucky law. So the very, very max it would be 15 years, potentially if this did go to trial. Well, I guess if the trial did play out and a guilty verdict was found. And obviously people are upset, rightfully so. And even before it got announced, President Trump on the Kentucky governor's order declared a state of emergency, saying we need federal help to come into our state and assist with a problem that we have before the verdict or the decision was made on what was going to happen with it. And so the National Guard was sent there prior to the public reading of the verdict. And so right now we have a curfew that's going on in Louisville, Kentucky. And last I checked, before I took my podcast nap, there's a lot of shit going on in the streets. You see that I saw pepper gas being deployed on protesters and everything. It looks like another Seattle, Portland, Minnesota incident, Kenosha incident, also in terms of just craziness going on with National Guards in the street battling protesters, and we're back at it again.
Yeah, 2 people have been shot. 2 police officers have been shot already in Louisville. So that's something else to mention. It's going to be bad. I mean, I said it earlier. Once they said that they were going to do the, state of emergency and the officers canceling their vacations, I was like, the city's going to burn. It's going to burn. And the messed up part is that there's so many messed up parts about this story that just don't. It could have been handled better, but the whole thing was just fucked up. All right, so there's a couple of things here that I don't think most people are aware of, but there's been some contention on whether the police officers either didn't knock, or waited long enough for the people to get to the door. A lot of contention there, because like one neighbor said that they did hear him, but multiple other neighbors said they didn't. The problem that I have, there's a couple problems with this that I have, because they enter the person's home, and immediately a police officer gets shot in the leg. So they're presenting that as fact, because they entered the home, shot police officer in the leg. He didn't know it was the cops. That guy hasn't been charged with shit, because if somebody enters your home and you don't know who the fuck it is, you can use force against them. So that showed me, at least on some level, that the police officers at least are on some level know that their entering the home was wrong, and that them getting shot was justified on some level. Mm. So this is where things get like really fucking murky with me. I'm just like, okay, so why isn't there any charges against this guy? Because they return fire, right? So, and then when they return fire, the whole thing that we just went through about how he's getting charged for shooting rounds that went into a different apartment, but not the fucking bullets that went into somebody's body, is the problem for me. Like, what the fuck? How is that even? I don't understand the logical process in that, when you can say that I can charge you for, missing your target and going into other, buildings, other rooms, other, apartments, but they missed the target of the person that was shooting at them, and they killed somebody that was shot multiple times, and there's no charge whatsoever for that death. That doesn't make any fucking sense to me. And from what I've seen from multiple reports, Breonna Taylor took 20 minutes to die, and nobody administered aid to her while she was dying.
Yep.
What the fuck is up with that shit? Why isn't there a charge about that? It is an officer's duty, am I right, Stitch? If you mortally harm somebody and they're disarmed, you're supposed to administer aid, correct?
Yeah, that's once you're supposed to transition from whatever is going on to administering aid once the scene is safe. So once everything, I guess, calmed down or whatever, and like I don't know where the body camera footage is. There body camera footage? I don't know.
Yeah.
This is a major city. I mean, Louisville is a actual city. We know it. I mean, it's a huge fucking city as far as I know. I don't know if it's the most populated one in Kentucky, but it's got Metro in its police department name, so I assume they have lots of resources and funds. I don't know where the body camera footage is on this incident.
Was
I
there body
don't
camera
know.
footage?
I
don't
haven't
know.
seen any. Yeah,
I think they said there is none.
yeah, I don't know why there isn't, if there isn't, or why it hasn't been released or anything. I don't know because the way grand juries work is that it's all supposed to technically be sealed and silent. So I don't know for sure if the one that was charged, if his bullet is the one that killed Taylor.
So okay,
I don't.
yeah, this is the other part.
I don't really know if that's if they know that. I'm sure they know that because that's just simple bullet forensics. So you get all the guns involved or whatever, you can see what bullet it is that killed the person or whatever. Regardless, I mean that makes it a little bit murky. I'll let you go and talk about that because it gets into this weird sort of situation on how you want to charge this and if the goal is getting a conviction. I mean, I was talking with Lilo about it, and she was asking my thoughts, and I said the goal is not to arrest the cops that killed Breonna Taylor. It's to convict the person that killed Breonna Taylor. That's the ultimate goal, or whatever. Arresting someone means you just bring them down to the station, put them in cuffs, book them, and then they go on bail and they face a trial. That's not justice. You want people to be held responsible for their actions, and in that case, if you want that person to be responsible, that means going to jail and serving jail time, significant amount of jail time appropriate for the crime that person committed. It gets crazy murky because we've talked about it before, and I feel that this was just a shit show from the beginning of the plan to even go serve this warrant, and it just snowballed into a out of control, fucked up situation where you ended up with an innocent person who was sleeping, getting killed. The boyfriend got shot. I didn't see him being charged with actually anything that was so-called being claimed in this so-called warrant. So the warrant ended up just being just shit in the end. Is that what happened? And it just becomes a big shit show. Now you're $12 million poorer on this horrible planned out warrant service that shouldn't have happened to begin with.
Well, that's hold on. So real quick. Okay, so this is the weird part I was saying about like the bullets is that they're saying that they cannot accurately find out through ballistics who exactly shot Breonna Taylor, and I'm calling fucking bullshit.
I don't buy that
because most PDs they have ballistics on the fucking firearms that they issue to the police officers.
Yeah.
I saw Batman.
Immediately, if you're involved in an officer-involved shooting, everybody, it doesn't matter if you aimed at the target or not. Everybody's guns gets confiscated because that's evidence. So I don't know if they actually know that or if that was just falsely reported. But there is no way in 2020 are we saying that we have 4 guns involved in an incident. We don't know what bullet, unless the bullet is missing, which I doubt. You know where what bullet it was that ended up hitting her. And I don't know if it just wasn't released because we haven't seen official documents because, like I said, grand jury testimonies are supposed to be sealed, and it's major bad if grand jury stuff gets officially leaked and we see documents, and that's something we'll see in trial. But I don't buy, and I don't know who put it out that they don't know. I think they definitely know. Yeah. And they ought to know.
Well, the prosecutor said that they don't. They said it was inconclusive, and I was like, "Fucking, that's bullshit." Like, it's all bullshit.
One interesting thing I learned today was that, like, so the boyfriend who shot, the whole reason why they were there was because of Breonna Taylor's ex-boyfriend, who is already in prison. That they were doing a warrant search looking for drugs that he might have been associated with, or that he had stashed at all these different locations, and that's the whole reason why they did the whole, I guess, no-knock fucking warrant search or whatever. But it was her current boyfriend that was living with her that shot because he thought somebody was breaking into the house. Am I right with that? Because that's what I read today.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was. So it was just that's what I read today and multiple other days. So people are trying to like smear her as a person. I'm just like, somebody's ex that's not even with her anymore. Yeah. Like all of a sudden she's still on the hook for him. It's like, no, that's not how it works. And it's definitely not something that is worth losing your life over from an accident.
Just to
So,
be
let's
really,
value some human life.
I'm going to jump in just to be really crystal clear. Breonna's innocent. Like there's no conviction, there's no crime stuff, there's none of that bullshit with her. But I want to be clear on something, just my own personal stance. Y'all may disagree. We can talk about it, but I think you got to have a much larger discussion than just this one individual case about our country's stance on drugs, period. And,
Yep.
you know, I don't give a single solitary fuck if someone's in their home doing drugs. And when you talk about even the selling of narcotics, you know, that's something that
It's consensual.
I don't really care about, and I think we as a country need to really examine that much closer. But more importantly, this is where the whole system has me fucked up. You're treating weed sometimes, you know, coke or harder drugs, but most of the time weed as this hostage situation. Yeah, like literally where there's you know, the need to urgently bum rush the door and, you know, everybody get down, or start spraying or whatever. It's not anything close to that level of force that's necessary when you're talking about a normal house or apartment and nobody in physical danger, and you have a suspicion of drugs, and that's where you get this. Basically, the law seems like they're viewing Breonna Taylor as collateral damage, for lack of a better phrase. Now, y'all tell me if I'm way off on that, but it sure sounds like it to me, and I'm no lawyer.
Actually, and this is something that, you know, Stitch said, you know, that they lost $12 million. The PD didn't lose shit. They didn't lose shit. They're not held accountable at all. That $12 million is going to come out of taxpayer money. It's going to come out of some other general fund, not the PD's general fund.
Correct.
Yeah,
This is the problem that I have.
I was just saying it costs the decision that this path led down with just poor decision ended up costing $12 million, not out of the police departments, but just in general, $12 million.
Yeah.
Just out of, we fucked up.
Yeah, and that's like a huge problem. It's like you admit that you fucked up, but you're not going to convict the people that fucked up. Like, what the fuck? So you're going to make your local government and state government through tax dollars pay this family for their loss, admitting that you're guilty of wrongdoing, but you will not hold the people accountable. That is a fucking serious problem. These are problems that I've been thinking about it lately, because people talk about patriot shit and like all this other fucking nonsense. They don't seem to understand the reason why we actually became the United States of America. It's because of shit like this that the fucking British government did to us by having a fucking basically a standing army, which is what most PDs are nowadays. They're fucking standing armies. You can't tell me if you showed somebody 15 years ago what the police officers are wearing today. Not even 15, we'll say 20 years ago. If you saw police officers line up on the streets today with the gear that they're wearing, and you just remove the words police off of their fucking gear, they couldn't tell that. They would just say it's an army wearing black.
Yep.
That's what they're doing. Let me just read to you a fucking, this is directly from the Declaration of Independence. This is basically the fuck you letter to the UK, to the rest of the world, letting them know, basically airing our grievances on why the UK fucked up and why we are going to fight them for our freedom. And I'm quoting, when I say he, it means the UK. He has kept among us in times of peace standing armies without the consent of our legislatures. That's happening now. It just happened in fucking Portland when they sent covert agents to go snatch people off the fucking streets. It's exactly what the fuck they're talking about in the Declaration of Independence. So all these stupid ass fake fucking patriots that want to talk about, you know, oh, they're criminals. No, like you're missing the whole fucking picture here. We have let these police departments militarize way too much and hold way too much power through qualified immunity. It needs to fucking stop, or people are gonna fucking continue to die. And it's gonna happen on the police sides more and more. I don't want to fucking see it happen, but it's already fucking happening now. Police officers are getting shot because people are fucking tired of this shit. And we need to come together as a country and just reform the criminal justice system so we can have a better system that is fair for fucking everybody. And it starts with ending the stupid ass drug war. That's the first fucking step.
Yeah.
There's no reason for them to go in and kick that door. Like, in the worst case scenario, like, what do you think's going on inside this apartment? Like, even if it is, you know that it's weed there. Okay, then what are you expecting to be on the other side of that door? A grow house or whatever? And if that's the case, then what? What is the pertinent emergency that you need to bum rush that door and kick it? Because people sort of have this Hollywood mindset of like, oh shit, when the police knock on the door, that means they're going to destroy the evidence. How are you going to destroy a grow house or whatever if you think that that's what's on the other side of the door? How are you going to flush all this weed and all this stuff if you think that there's some sort of risk of evidence being destroyed? Because that's one of the things where you're allowed to sort of like jump the progressive like steps. If you think that evidence is currently and actively being destroyed, then yeah, you sometimes in certain circumstances you don't have to get a warrant, or if there's some sort of dire emergency going on that you can see and articulate, then sometimes yeah, you don't have to get a warrant to enter in a residence. This is he's getting weed packages, maybe? Like what are they like pallets of weed or whatever? No. Like, so why are you stacking up at this door, kicking it in at whatever time it is in the morning to go get a brick of weed to put out on a table to put on your Facebook account or whatever and be like, yo, we doing shit out here in Louisville.
Can I just? I'm sorry, you're on a roll, but I just got to say something. I've said it time and time again on here. I want to put this in the context. The University of Kentucky, like any major school, and I'm not picking on them per se, you can go into any dorm room, sorority house, fraternity, whatever. You can find drugs and underage drinking, alcohol, needles. You can find all of that stuff on campus. I guarantee you, if you look, you don't even have to look hard. It's very fucking selective who and what neighborhoods they do this in and what neighborhoods they don't. I guarantee you Mitch McConnell's neighborhood, the Senator Paul, they're not doing this in those neighborhoods. They would never. And you can absolutely find drugs in wealthy neighborhoods. This is something that in general happens all too often in poor Black and brown communities.
Yeah, it's the main reason why they do it is because they can get away with it, because in a poor brown community, or any poor community, but it's mainly Black and brown communities, you can get away with it because there's literally zero recourse for blowback, because they know if you go in these poor communities, there's no way that you can, first of all, afford a fucking lawyer. Second of all, you're not going to arrest somebody that their son or daughter, that their father or mother is a person of prominence in the community. So you don't have to worry about any fucking blowback. So just kicking down doors of fucking poor people and shit like that, and there's literally no accountability. There's 20,000 no-knock raids every single year in America. Every single year.
Yep.
And most of them, the vast majority of those no-knock raids are for low-level drug offenses. They very rarely find weapons in the vicinity at all.
Yeah.
And they roll up in these places with fucking AMRAPs. And AMRAP, for all my civilian friends, it's a fucking mine-proof. It's not a tank, but it's a mine-proof personnel carrier, right? When have you ever seen a fucking mine go off in America? When?
Never.
Like, seriously, never. It's never happened to the fucking ever.
Yeah.
And they have these things from the military. These things cost fucking hundreds of thousands of dollars. Meanwhile, you're kicking down doors in neighborhoods that have no fucking grocery stores. They have little fucking, no community centers. They have schools that are underfunded. So like, you're terrorizing a community using their own fucking tax dollars.
For a dime bag.
Yeah, for fucking nothing. Because they're getting money. And plus, the fucking icing on the cake is that if they happen to do all this shit, they can do civil forfeiture.
Yeah.
They can just take all your shit if they happen to think that it was used for drugs. Like, if you have, like, an ounce of fucking drug or of coke or whatever, they can just start stealing all your shit.
And sell it.
And it's just and they use it for themselves, or they sell it to make more money for their own PD department. And it's fucking bullshit. Plus, they get fucking federal funding. for it. And if they do more and more drug raids, they get more and more
Oh my
funding.
God.
Yeah,
America.
I hate to lose sight of, obviously we're all, this is an emotional time, and obviously everybody, my heart goes out to Breonna Taylor's family. I don't want to lose sight of that, but we have to talk about bigger things because it's so much bigger than just her. There's a lot of very similar Breonna Taylor-like stories that happen every single year, and it's been happening for all of our lifetime.
Yeah.
And there's never this discussion. There's never a good time to have these kind of robust back and forths about reform, about national change. And I feel like it's way past due for that. And you have to someone has to put the political will and muscle behind it. I know it's not going to be, current administration or whatever, but holy fuck, man. And it's not even just me saying, oh, this started with Trump. Of course it didn't. But
Oh, no.
this has to be something that gets on like the national level of, hey, legislature is going to do something to reform it, or we're going to do some votes on it. We need to try some things to change this at a big level. And I will say this, California deciding to decriminalize weed, that ain't cutting, or Colorado or Seattle, Hawaii or whatever, that ain't cutting it either. You need
That makes
federal stuff for
Yeah,
decriminalization.
Well, the decriminalization in the States, that people are still in jail for fucking weed.
Yep.
To this day. And it's legalized now. And so, yeah, obviously we need it federally. It needs to be federally legal. But we have people that are in state prisons that are in jail for a drug that is currently legal.
Like, didn't they talk about slowly like releasing some of the people who were in there for petty weed crimes, or did it ever even happen or go to fruition?
Some states I've heard a little bit. Some.
Yeah.
But I think it's a trickle, not an opening of the floodgates. So
that prison system is a moneymaker on its own. More people they have in there, more money they fucking get.
Sure the fuck is. So that's one of the big things that's going on.
Yeah, I will say that I'll make a prediction that they'll get I think they'll get a guilty verdict on this officer that they charged. It faces a max of 15 years. I think he'll get maybe 3 or whatever. That's kind of like what I think is going to happen, because I mean the attorney is not going to try a case he doesn't think he's going to win. The attorney looks at it and says, all right, can I win with this? Because the attorneys want a high conviction rate on their record. They don't want to go to trial and have this whole thing just so they can catch L's over and over again and look foolish. And I think that's a big reason why he went for this whole, well, I'll just hit him with, he used gun irresponsibly or whatever, which is just some whack kind of shit. But it's almost like realistically, that's probably the only thing you could probably get a jury of 12 people to convict on. And it's kind of sad, but I think that's your best chance of getting him, this officer behind bars and everything. That's the goal, is to get him behind bars and have him pay for what he did. Unfortunately, you have to do a backdoor way of getting him behind bars. It almost reminds me, I think it's like maybe it was Gotti. I think it was Gotti who, for all his mob shit that he did and all the killing and stuff like that, what got him fucked was tax bullshit. And that's what got him pretty much behind bars. And stopped his whole little mob enterprise. Was just people were able to get receipts on his money, not the bodies and shit that he had littered all over New York, New Jersey and shit. It was the money. So I guess he's just taking his taking a field goal, I guess, where he can.
It's like that scene from American Gangster when he started to get all flashy, and that's when the cops noticed him.
He did have a mink coat.
That
was a bit much.
And then for the legislative stuff, I think a huge thing is the whole privatization of prisons. I mean, you have people like the Dubois family. They are connected with, I can't think of the actual name of it, but in terms of like building prisons and shit like that. And you have someone in there who's financially tied to incriminating and throwing people behind bars. That's how they get rich. That's how they made their money. You have somebody not directly connected with that aspect of the government, but you have somebody in there who their family name and their family generational wealth is on building prisons and throwing people behind bars and stuff. And that's a problem when you have a conflict of interest in terms of like, I make more money in my bank account and for my family when we just pass law, do shit just to throw people in jail just for whatever. And yeah, maybe a federal like decriminalization of weed would help, but I mean, we're all over the map. We live in California that's very liberal and lax on a lot of stuff, but you go to I went to college in Louisiana, and that whole like jails are a business there. That's how they make their money. It's slavery practically. You go to Angola, it's a plantation that nobody cares about because they're criminals. So I don't care if they're cropping food and stamping license plates and making big rocks into smaller rocks. They don't have any rights because they're prisoners, and yeah, it's free labor. That's the way they think of it. They think of them as just sort of like less than human people. Yeah, as a workforce, and it's just
literally
fucked up
is
mindset.
slavery.
Yeah.
No, it literally is. The 14th Amendment actually lays the groundwork. So if you're incarcerated, you're a slave. So you don't have to like tap dance around it. You're a slave if you're incarcerated.
There it is. Holy fuck, y'all. I hate to switch it up just a little bit, but I know we haven't brought this up in a while. I just got to note it. We did pass another fucking sobering ass goddamn milestone that just it's driving me nuts whenever I think about it. We're in the 200,000 plus mark for Rona. I never thought in the worst case nightmare scenario, the United States of America would be doing this terribly, just flat out terribly when it comes to a matter of public health compared to really, in a lot of ways, the rest of the fucking world. What do you guys think? Yeah.
Just 200,000 people. I can't. I've been to like football games like down in like LSU where I've seen like 95,000 people in a general area, and you're telling me like if all those people were just dead bodies, that isn't even half of it. That's just stunning to me. Like I've passed by like the Daytona racetrack, and that venue is fucking huge. I don't know how many people that holds, but just to think of that each seat in a massive building like that, just full of dead bodies. Like you go to like Oracle holds like 40,000 people, or actually old Oracle or whatever holds approximately 50,000 people in the stands. Or you go to AT&T Park or Oakland Coliseum, you got 50,000 people, and that's 25% of the death toll or whatever if that thing was jammed to full capacity, just full of dead shit, because this was only supposed to be one person from China coming over. It was a Democratic hoax. It was not a big deal. It'll go away in a couple months. When the weather heats up or whatever, it'll go away and it'll just vanish. I can go on and on and on about things that were fucking, yeah, things that were fucking said that just completely downplayed it, including the person saying he was downplaying it because he didn't want to panic it and blah 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 blah. But no, people are just they're just ignorant. It's not even. There's no excuse for it. They're willfully ignorant.
Just fun fact. The podcast is recorded in Hayward. Hayward's population, and when it was recorded back in 2018, was 159,000 people. So imagine a whole fucking city of people just fucking dead.
Plus Newark. It's the whole city of Hayward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what's funny to me is like the total lip service that they play. They do these stupid ass talking points like, you know, President Trump will come up there and talk about his thing. He'd be like, you know, a single death is too many. And it's like, but 200,000 aren't? Like, what the fuck what are you talking about? So if you say that one person's too many, and then you blame it on China, and you say, well, they, you know, it should have never gotten out of their country. it was easy to fix. Motherfucker, then why didn't you fix it here?
Yeah.
Like, for real. And now there's already I'm gonna Nick Ordamas another fucking thing for everybody out there. They keep trying to push through these fucking vaccines. All right, there's vaccines that are coming. All right, there's like 3 candidates. One from Johnson & Johnson, probably gonna get there first because it's a single dose.
What about Kodak? Are they still making a vaccine, or is that?
I have no fucking idea. We're getting money though. We're getting money though.
Sorry, I had to bring it up. Go ahead, man. Sorry.
They keep touting that, through Operation Warp Speed, which is a fucking stupid ass name. Speeding up all these trials and speeding up getting all this stuff through. It's never been done before. Okay, so first of all, scientifically, shit advances no matter who the fuck the president is. It's like me saying that computers are faster now than ever before as president. It's like, no fucking shit. That's Moore's law. You didn't do anything to fucking do that. So that's my first point. Second of all, you attempting to artificially speed up a fucking potential vaccine is the stupidest shit ever. We need a fucking safe vaccine, not a fast vaccine. I can end this whole argument. If President Trump really thinks that the new vaccines that are coming out are so safe, I want to see him. I want to see his son get that fucking vaccine first.
Young boy.
I want to be the first in the fucking line. That's what I want to see. I can guarantee you, because he knows that there's probably some fucking kinks to fucking work out. And I'm not going to be the first million to fucking get that shit. I'll let y'all work that out. I'm going to sit home and fucking keep quarantining.
Did you see that?
And let everybody else figure it out.
Did you see, I can't remember if it was a mayor or a senator of Florida or something like that who was recorded saying that, the vaccine isn't what we need. We just, our cure, or the thing that protects us is wearing masks. Like, mask is the answer. Mask is going to protect us and this and that. And then, I guess an hour later, Trump comes out and saying he misspoke, he wasn't literally talking the truth. And then literally the guy comes back out and said oh yeah, I don't know what I was saying. I was just making conversation and this and that. I'm like, dude, you literally just said that masks are going to save people's lives and the vaccine isn't going to work. But then your Lord and Savior stuck his dick in your mouth and you had to speak out some other fucking bullshit. It's what the fuck, man.
A vaccine doesn't do anyone any good if nobody takes it or whatever.
Exactly.
All it's going to do is just sit in a fucking vial and everything. And the way that you have completely shat upon the entire scientific community, how are we supposed to all of a sudden trust that this is safe now? You've been a complete denier of science and everything, and Fauci doesn't know what he's talking about, blah, 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 blah. Now all of a sudden we're supposed to just believe that these magic beans over here just are gonna fucking work. And no, it doesn't work like that. He spent the entire time shitting on it, then all of a sudden he expects us to just go rushing in to something he said after his hydrochloroquine bullshit. I don't even remember the last.
People forgot about that shit.
Oh yeah, then that other medicine he was claiming was the fucking new hotness that was gonna fucking cure everything.
Some of them are, yeah.
Yeah, and then of course sunlight and household disinfectant. Yeah, that was gonna help it. You're not going to convince people that the damage has already been done. I mean, I don't feel it's safe or whatever because I don't trust really what's coming out because I don't know. It seems like he's changing the narrative on how safe a vaccine is, how it's being tested, and just saying something Operation Warp Speed sure as fuck is not gonna if you wanted to buy a car or a child safety seat or whatever for your kid. And they said, we just rushed this through production or whatever because we're low on units or whatever. Would you strap your kid into your fucking automobile with it? No.
No.
Exactly. But we're going to inject this bullshit into our body and just be like, well, what's the worst that could happen? Motherfucking death. Death. I could lose an organ. My heart could stop. It blows my fucking mind. I can't even.
What's kind of crazy, just to kind of jump in real quick, is that, okay, he expects people to take this miracle vaccine. Motherfuckers don't want to even wear a mask. People wear masks, they're like, oh, it's against my civil rights and this and that. It's my freedom, duty as an American not to wear this fucking mask. These same motherfuckers who don't believe the coronavirus is real is going to take the fucking vaccine. So that's another fucking a bunch of idiots we have to deal with if there is a vaccine that successfully works on people.
Well, and I'm going to say this too. I've had it up to here with. It's not that I'm trying to pick on them per se, but yeah, fuck them. I've had it up to here with fucking Christians. I really have. because y'all are the absolute worst ethical people, at least the ones in this country, goddammit. Most of y'all, not every single one, but most of y'all don't give a shit about your fellow human being. You know, if you're so selfish, you literally won't put a piece of fucking cloth over your face, even though you know that people are dying. This is so simple, so fucking easy, and you don't care about human life. You don't care about your fellow person. You're not doing what quote unquote Jesus would have done or would have said or any of that bullshit. All you're doing is following this charlatan talking about I need to have my fucking rallies. That my rallies are more important than your life. That that it's disgusting. It's disturbing, and I'm just embarrassed for my fellow Americans who, 40, 50, 60% of them literally are cheering on other people dying.
Yeah.
The amount of death is worse than several of our wars. You know what I mean? Like worse than the Vietnam War, and Persian Gulf and Iraq and Afghanistan. Worse than a lot of wars when you look at it. 200,000 in 7 fucking months.
We had about 4,000 or 5,000 people die during 9/11, and we completely changed our entire way of life. Over 5,000 people dying and lived about a decade, probably still to this day, in fear of the brown man from a Middle Eastern country because of what happened during 9/11 and 5,000 people dying. And we are at 200,000 people, and people don't want to fucking wear a mask over their fucking face. We had no problem with the government passing laws, being able to x-ray us through our fucking clothing and see what it is that we're wearing. Can't walk to the airport gate to wish our loved ones goodbye. Passed acts like the Patriot Act and let people be able to just go through our phone at their own free will and instantly access all of our private information, give up our Fourth Amendment rights in many, many ways, just because we were scared of Middle Eastern brown people for something that happened once. And we can't go by one September without us saying, never forget, never forget, never forget. But we are still living through this fucking deadly ass thing that's killing thousands of people a day. And people are just like, oh, my freedom, my freedom. But you didn't care when it was brown people that you were in fear of. But this invisible killer that is knocking out people just left and right, you don't give a fuck about.
And just lies.
Well, it's what,
I'm sorry.
it's lies.
Just flat out lies that you hear. Oh, it doesn't affect children. Bull fucking shit. You guys have a better immune system. Bull fucking shit. Or almost nobody is affected. The percentage is low. Or the other one that Kronos alluded to this a couple weeks ago, but I just got to say, that whole comorbidity stuff with, less than 6% or whatever. Let me tell you something. And this is not just from Prodigy. I'm not a doctor or anything, but obviously I work in healthcare. With the HIV crisis, when people, were dying in the 80s and whatnot, by that was a virus as well. If you look on the death certificates, oftentimes it didn't say, or it listed a whole bunch of factors, like, you could have pneumonia or heart, your heart gave out or whatever. But it was ultimately you dying from the virus itself. The virus, just like with this, the virus is killing you. Yes, you could have other things going on with your body, and you could live with diabetes, you could live with heart disease for maybe another 15, 20, 30 years, depending on health and all that stuff. But the virus is taking your ass out right now in 2020. Like, full stop.
It's like if you had a cold and you're walking across the street and you sneezed and then a car hit you, they would say that the fucking cold killed you because you sneezed.
You were paying attention.
It's like, what the fuck are you even talking? That's how stupid you motherfuckers sound to me. Like, seriously, because they don't understand basic science. We have a serious epidemic of science illiteracy, and I'm not really surprised anymore because, I think America. I'm going to be an asshole, all right, to America.
Do it.
We need to be taken down a notch. Like, seriously, we went through and gotten through a lot of fucking bullshit by just saying that we're the best, we're the best, we're the best. But like, we totally forgot of why we're the best. We're the best because we're the we're the culmination of multiple cultures coming together towards a common goal. And then when we were doing that, everybody just sort of rode the wave, idiots and all, rode that wave, rode the wave of fucking awesomeness of multiple goddamn scientists and mathematicians from multi-ethnic groups, just making everything so much better in America, so much better. So you just rode, your dumbass rode the wave. It's like, oh yeah, this is great. I'm great because I'm an American. We're all just on this wave. But meanwhile, you're not a great person.
Yeah.
You're just riding that wave. You know what I mean? It's like you did nothing to get us to where we are.
Yeah.
Other people did. They sacrificed for us. If you want to go back to the beginning, if I'm going to be fucking extra black, it's built on slaves.
Mm-hmm.
But the slaves didn't get any sort of recognition whatsoever. Not even the history books to this day.
Yeah.
It's barely a footnote. Black people were slaves.
Yep.
That's basically, and then somebody freed them.
Yeah.
And don't forget, we're going to have that erased from our history lessons.
Oh boy. Yeah.
Yeah. Because of the Patriot fucking
17,
system.
the 1776 Act. We'll just dress up that shitty burrito in an American flag and force it down the American public or whatever because it's wrapped in an American flag of the 1776 Patriot Eagle fucking Star Spangled Banner fucking education initiative.
Yeah, it's a terrible. Because listen, let me tell you, as an actual patriot, somebody that actually defended this country, you cannot teach patriotism. Say it with me now. You cannot teach patriotism. All right? It is literally fucking impossible. You need to have a country that you believe in. You need to have a country that makes your life better. When you see those things, you want to protect that country.
There you go.
You want to make that country do better. That's how you make patriots. You do not attempt to drill it into their minds because that's fascism.
And I'm just going to say, I'm going to piggyback. It's literally the textbook definition of propaganda. That's all we're really talking about. You're talking about state-sponsored propaganda. Factually, and I'm not a historian, but I will say this. If you can't discredit the work of the 1619 Project from a historical standpoint, if you can't debunk it, then I don't want to fucking hear from you. And then the other thing is, Trump had the audacity to try to pick on dead historians. One of my favorite, Howard Zinn, who wrote A People's History of the United States, which is an incredible book, opened my eyes to a whole lot of fucking things. He's been dead since, I think, 2010. It's ludicrous. And again, none of his historical work of nonfiction was debunked, or it's not conspiracy theory bullshit. All it is really well-researched historical facts. And those facts threaten you because it causes people who are well-read and curious to be well-informed. And that is a dangerous threat to this administration.
How successful in your life have you been at making somebody love you? How does that work?
Remember the Mike Tyson quote, "I'll fuck you till you love me." I'm sorry.
Yeah, just did sexual harassment training.
I think Robin Gibbons was like, no, that's not how that works.
Yeah. My parents didn't wake me up every morning while I'm eating a Honey Smack cereal saying, "You're gonna love me today." Like, no, like that's not how love is born. It's not true actual love. That's an abusive relationship. That's how you get into a domestic abusive relationship. You are going to love me. You are not going to leave me. You can't find anyone better than me. That's abuse. That is not how you get somebody to have true patriotism and a true want for this country to do better. It's like you said about fascism. It's not how to organically want the United States to be better if you are forcing it down their throat.
Yep. I think it's funny how Trump had said that he didn't want to cause panic with the whole pandemic stuff, but every time he fucking talks, he's basically causing fucking panic, saying oh, there's different kind of shit there's rioting in Portland, they're looting and killing each other out there, we need to stop this, and no, a lot of those protests were peaceful, and it was just
they're moving
maybe
into your suburbs.
Rioting. Yeah, they're coming
the
for your suburbs. They're gonna take and rape your daughters.
All this crazy.
Well,
shit.
let's be clear. I'm going to use pretty much paraphrasing the exact quotes he was saying in his fucking campaign. Mexicans, dangerous, evil Mexicans are coming across the border to rape and sell drugs and blah blah blah. Like
I thought that was the Syrians.
Yeah.
What year are we talking about? Who's coming this year? I forget what month it is. Jesus
I mean,
Christ. MS-13 coming and all this fucking crazy shit.
yeah,
And that was
yeah.
Antifa, the new bad thing that's happening. Like, what is it?
And then you have
Oh, go ahead.
you had the FBI saying, yeah, Antifa is an ideology. It's not really there's no head of it and stuff like that. No, we're just gonna sweep that under the rug. I don't want to hear what my Blue Lives Matter community says about that. I'm just gonna ignore it or whatever. You get back to this whole Antifa evil, bad. Ooh, they're coming, taking your kids. They're throwing bricks through the window, hitting us with cans of tuna, cans of fucking Bumblebee tuna. Is this life? Is this where we're at right now?
Yeah.
Seriously.
Hey, bro, you gotta be careful of the full. You gotta be careful of the full auto tuna, bro. They can get you with the full auto tuna. I'm just saying.
It was like with Jessica Simpson with the chicken of the sea stuff. Now
Yeah.
we're back again with it, with fucking tuna.
It's so specific. You know what I mean? He called out the brand name of Bumblebee tuna. I'm like, what the fuck, man?
I mean, you kind of get that, like, that shot puck grip on those tuna cans, and you can probably get them to launch pretty far. I mean, can't be really mad too much about that. I'm fucking around.
All right, let's switch it up. We got some fun stuff. Thanks for staying with us, everybody. We are going to get into some geekery. I'm going to start it off. We haven't gotten any MCU movies since Spider-Man European Vacation, right? I think that was the last one. So that feels like it was forever ago. We got. It made money. I didn't say it didn't. You know, they were in Europe, right? They were on vacation. You know. Anyway, so we got
I couldn't think of a name.
we got a trailer, a full trailer, not even just a teaser, for WandaVision, which is I think going to be a Disney Plus TV series. This had more footage than we've, I guess, ever seen before. It kind of blew up. I didn't see the actual official release date on there per se at the end, but what did you guys think of this trailer?
Honestly, when I watched it, I was kind of confused what the fuck was going on. Like, I mean, I understand, like, I guess Wanda's having some kind of weird fucking acid trip or some fucking shit, and she's like jumping back and forth through like different types of TV shows. It makes me think of that episode of what was it? Of Timmy Turner where he's like running from Vicky through like different fucking TV shows or some shit like that. But it looks like they're putting money into the show though. Like the budget for it looks like it's pretty up there because there's some pretty cool effects that's happening. But as far as like understanding what's happening, like the trailer just made me more fucking confused to be honest. Unless somebody can break it down for me and be like, okay, this is what this means, this is what this means, then yeah, this show got me confused.
It did seem like a hodgepodge. Stitch, what do you think of this one?
I'm intrigued. I don't know where they're going or what they're actually doing with it yet. I've heard people talking online about this sort of being their take of like House of M in the comics.
Yeah,
and this is their way of sort of changing the timeline or not changing the timeline because that sounds more like a Flashpoint thing, but in terms of like adjusting the universe post in-game is what I've heard people kind of think that they're doing. I don't know how much weight I believe in that because it's very you gotta have a lot of characters involved in that whole aspect if that's where you're going with it. But it does look pretty cool. I'm excited for Scarlet Witch being the star of some shit because I said plenty of times they nerfed her powers a lot in the Avengers movie. It's a damn shame or whatever because essentially she could almost damn near solve that whole problem. What was that?
Thanos was like,
She almost OP Thanos.
yeah, Thanos was
Yeah,
like, just fucking shoot, get this bitch off me.
Yeah. Yeah, see, I mean, but it was just she was just using like telepathy and shit like that. I mean, they didn't get with her crazy like hexes and all kinds of like reality warping that in Ultron she did that stuff when she had like Tony seeing shit and fucking with their minds and stuff. But they just sort of like, yeah, we're gonna put that on the shelf. So I don't know what it is that they're gonna do, but I'm excited to get some new content and see what they're gonna do with Scarlet Witch and Vision. I don't. Vision, I'm kind of like about, but I'm excited to see what Scarlet Witch has.
I wonder
Cronus, you
they'll
saw this
bring-
trailer? Oh, go ahead.
Well, I wonder if they're gonna bring her brother back.
Quicksilver?
Yeah, Quicksilver. I mean, since most of this is in her head.
I mean, fuck him though. He couldn't even fucking dodge a bullet. He's supposed to be fast. What the fuck? He can be out of this shit.
What do you think of the trailer, Cronus?
Oh, I actually didn't watch the trailer yet. Sorry, I just sat down. I was grabbing a drink.
No worries.
But I didn't watch the WandaVision trailer yet.
Okay. I'm kind of leaning more towards Stitch in terms of I appreciate Wanda. I mean, Wanda has a great history with the Avengers, obviously, that goes back for decades and decades and decades. Her powers she's just super OP in powers traditionally from the comics. And of course, you know, the whole mutant connection with being the daughter of Magneto. And what she did to the fucking mutants in Genosha or whatever, you know, her connection with both the Avengers and the X-Men are legendary, and she's like a focal point between both worlds in terms of the mutants and the Avengers. I want to see much more of her. I don't give a single solitary shit about her relationship with Vision in general, but if this is high budget MCU level TV series, then I want to see what the fuck they're going to do with it. I'm more interested in this one sight unseen than I am about the Falcon and Bucky Barnes, just, you know, on GP, because I want to see what they'll do. But it also seems like this one is going to be much like Legion in terms of its trippiness, and you know, it feels like it's going to be all over the place from 1950s black and white to maybe early 80s comic accurate costumes for Halloween being in there. It just seems like it's going to be a trip. And then the last thing I'll say is, I believe, at least online, they pointed it out. I think Old Ninja said it too in our chat. Monica Rambeau looks like she's making an appearance through some type of reality altering, at least in this trailer. Did y'all catch that?
Well, yeah, that's what I heard too. I think she's Spectrum, right?
Mm-hmm.
I forget her name.
Yeah.
Mark Rambo. So yeah, her going through different universes and realities. Totally, it made sense for her character. So you know, and she's an original black character, not a black character that was a ripoff of some other fucking character or some diversified bullshit.
Rebrander.
Like she was written as that person. So hopefully people will appreciate her character and then not be all about diversity and then not watch the fucking show.
Mm-hmm.
Or not appreciate the fucking characters. That's what I see too many goddamn times. We have comic books that are out there that are diverse with well-written characters that are original, and then nobody fucking buys it.
Yeah.
You know what's interesting is that it looks like WandaVision, the budget for that is 150 million. But
Wow.
for Mandalorian season 1 was only 100 million, so they're spending a little bit more money on this than they did Mandalorian.
Okay. I mean, look, Mandalorian was super great, and I like the fact that it had that whole realism stuff. This seems like it's going to be other fucking worldly and shit. But I also I need to know where this takes place, you know, in terms of, you know, the MCU timeline, before, after, some side reality pocket dimension. You know, obviously time will tell. We'll see.
Yeah.
Do y'all want to get into this big Microsoft news, even though we don't have Old Ninja here to suck Microsoft's dick?
What the fuck?
Damn. Go straight for the fucking jugular.
Yeah, you know. So what was it, 2 days ago? God, the days seem to like all blend together, but I think 2 days ago, Microsoft announced that they bought Bethesda, right? With Arcane Studios, and Bethesda's obviously big for Fallout, big for Doom, I think, right? And Skyrim.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. it'd be a shame if Doom was not. I mean, I'll probably buy Xbox Series X anyway, once they have games on it. But it'd be a shame if I couldn't play Doom again on the PlayStation, because Doom is like, if you're a metalhead and you like play first-person shooters and you're twitchy, it's a perfect fucking game. Like, seriously. And I'm pretty sure the only way to probably make that better is if you did coke.
Hey, make sure you don't buy the X1 by mistake.
Oh, we'll get there. We'll get there. Let's not spoil that one yet.
Yeah, this, I've done my fair share of shitting on Xbox, but I thought this was a pretty bold move. But I will say, they paid $7.5 billion with a goddamn B as in booty for this. I was surprised by that price tag, given how, I mean, Fallout 76 was flat and just didn't work, and everybody fucking hated it. Even Fallout 4 from 2016 had a lot of bugs, even though it sold well. And Skyrim, which was huge in terms of doing really, really well for sales. I think that came out technically 9-10 years ago. So I did not see 7.5 billion. And just to put it into context, what 7.5 billion is wrong?
No, it's actually pretty reasonable because ZeniMax holds a bunch of patents.
Okay, I mean
it's actually they sued success. I think they sued successfully Oculus for stealing VR technology. Like, I'll have to fact check myself, but I'm pretty sure that's what happened.
Okay, I maybe it was just in the context of when I look back at Disney acquiring Marvel and Disney acquiring Star Wars, and it seems like it was approximately about half that amount. Obviously some years ago, but I was surprised by the price tag. Maybe I'm just super ignorant on it.
Yeah, it's just the tech they held is a huge deal. So I think that's part of the thing that most people don't understand is that, first of all, their games. I mean, Jesus Christ, how many fucking times have they sold fucking Skyrim on console? And Skyrim was basically GTA 5 for a long time, and I'm pretty sure Skyrim's going to come out for the fucking next generation.
Yep.
So they make a lot of money. I think most people don't give them enough credit. ESO, which is Elder Scrolls Online, makes a decent amount of money too. They have a bunch of really good franchises that make a lot of money, and them holding the VR patents was a big deal. I'm trying to read if they won the patent.
Okay.
So just give me a couple minutes. I'll tell you if they won or not.
Yeah.
But they definitely did too.
Okay. Well, one way or another, they certainly got acquired it for this amount. Oh, I forgot to mention, I think Arcane Studios with Dishonored, that franchise is included in this too.
Yeah. So they settled.
Okay.
So they got what is it, $200 million for each contract. So yeah, they have some legit patents in VR.
I'm gonna say this. Prior to this news, I was not even close to interested in getting the next generation Xbox whatsoever. I'm still probably not going to get it, but I'm not as opposed to it as I was. With the here's what it's going to depend on for me: the possibility of down the road, a few years from now, they may have some Bethesda, Arcane exclusives, and Wolfenstein's in there too. But exclusives that are only on the Xbox that I may want to fucking play.
Yeah, I was wondering about that. Like, would all of their games become only Microsoft Xbox exclusive games, or would they still play both sides?
We'll see.
Their games that
I heard rumors that they might have them be on other platforms as well. I mean, listen, if you want to be technical, Sony is obviously letting PCs play some exclusives. I mean, it already happened with Horizon Zero Dawn.
Yeah.
There's a couple other games too. So I think I don't know why. I mean, exclusives are cool, but I think over time, you might be leaving money on the table for like a lot of people. Because people want to play these games, so why not just license it and then not have to worry about building a console, like the money's in software, it's not in hardware. It's definitely the software. So if you can license that software to whatever company that you can, or, just fucking do it. Like, I wouldn't mind playing Halo on a fucking PlayStation. That's sacrilege to somebody.
Yeah. Yeah, a good port of a high money earning AAA franchise could be fun. I will say I agree in principle with Sony waiting. Like Horizon Zero Dawn came out in 2017. They waited 3 full years to get all the money they could from consoles out before porting it over to PC. But I don't have a problem with PC getting it and playing it per se.
Yeah.
Stitch, you wanted to get in here?
No, I mean, yeah, pretty much. I agree with all you guys. I think it would be kind of foolish for them to just sort of shut it out and try to make it all about Xbox or whatever, because it would leave a lot of money on the table. But yeah.
Good shit. So more to come on that. We'll see how it manifests itself. I think this is going to be something that we have to monitor and watch slowly over the course of years, because these new games are going to take 2, 3, 4, 5 years in development, before they get released after this deal,
Yeah.
So or unless they had something in the pipeline that they're already working on.
right.
What was this Xbox other news?
No. Oh, okay.
Did you want to go to that?
Yeah.
Well,
Comedy
actually,
session.
I think Blue, I think I know what he wants to talk about, so I'll let Blue go.
Wait, say what now?
The other Xbox information.
Oh yeah,
kind
so
of
Xbox this week, you were able to pre-order the console, but it looks like there was a little bit of confusion with a lot of people's grandmas and grandpas when they went to order these. Because of the naming convention of the Xbox, was it Series X? It confused a lot of people, and people were actually buying the Xbox One Series, Xbox One X or something like that.
Yeah, Xbox One.
Yeah, so a lot of people were buying those, not realizing they were buying the wrong console. And Microsoft saw an increase of like 800% of the sales of the Xbox. And I guess eventually people started realizing, and they were returning their items.
Well, you know what's funny to me is that somebody on Twitter, whose fucking hot take was, there's no correlation between this 800% rise in Xbox One X sales and the Xbox Series X. Nobody's getting confused. I'm like, bullshit. When the fuck in any point in history is there 800% increase for no fucking reason for a
The
product?
product's about to go out of
The
date.
Xbox,
It's been,
it's at the end of the fucking console generation. It's literally in last in the console wars for this generation. And you're telling me that overnight, magically, the same day that the next console is being released with a very similar name, that there's no correlation? You're stupid as fuck. Like, seriously. It's a bunch of people that are probably buying it for their kids, that are not tech people, and they're confusing Xbox One X with Xbox Series X. If you don't realize that it's something that is easily confusable, if you're not in the video game world, then you're in fucking fantasy world. You live in the unicorn.
yeah, because the majority of the people who do the Christmas shopping for consoles, they're parents. You know what I mean? They're parents of, kids who want a Christmas present, and a lot of, moms or dads or grandpas, whatever, all they hear is Xbox, and they don't they don't necessarily write down, they don't even listen to their kids all that well, but they don't write down exactly what version of the newest Xbox that sounds just like the old Xbox that little Timmy fucking wants. Like, it's super logical to me. I would even say this, even if you're not going to do something logical, like do the whole 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like Sony does, at least having something that doesn't sound like the old one. Obviously, Nintendo Switch sounds very different from Nintendo Wii. Now,
Right.
Wii U and Wii sound the same. I will, that's similar stuff. But like Switch and Wii are different. Some type of naming convention that makes some kind of order or where you can't have a slip of the tongue and be in a GameStop and do something wrong. That's necessary. It's bad branding, right?
My mom probably still to this
It
day
is, yeah.
pronounces Nintendo or Mintendo or whatever.
Yeah,
So-
Nintendo. Yeah.
All Nintendo.
So I can't imagine the disaster of some of these parents having to deal with that nightmare scenario of looking confused when the GameStop employees just like, oh, do you want the X or the S or whatever? And they're just like, oh, I don't know.
Hold on. Steve, you only get part of that story. Back in the 90s, every single console was a Nintendo. Doesn't
Oh,
matter
yes,
if it was a
yes.
fucking Sega, doesn't matter if it was a fucking Dreamcast, doesn't matter if it was a fucking PlayStation, they were all Nintendos to your parents.
Yep.
Exactly.
And these are facts.
Yep.
I thought big of a brand that Nintendo was.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I will say this: anything portable that you could do with gaming was a Game Boy.
Game Boy.
Yeah. They crushed the market. They really did. I mean, they obviously lost ground to PlayStation over the past couple generations. But they've been still pretty solid.
Yeah.
You know, everybody makes fun of like the Wii, but the Wii won that console generation
It did.
through numbers. It really did. So
Yeah. It's a shit show in terms of the naming. There's no doubt about it. But I will say this: I'm hoping for some better competition. You know, with Xbox, I'm hoping that they can have. We've clowned on them for it seems like the last 3 or 4 years. With hey, where are your fucking exclusives? If they could come out with some high quality exclusives, then maybe they got a fucking fighting chance next gen. But as we've already mentioned on here, at launch and within the first, I think it was 2 years, it looks like there's going to be almost none in terms of exclusives. So, in terms of AAA,
yeah, and they're already fucking up because there's no exclusives, and well, there's a couple. It's very few. But the elephant in the room that most people are thinking about is Nintendo has not announced the next Switch yet, and we know it's coming. And once they announce it, I'm pretty sure the next Breath of the Wild is going to be on there, and the next Metroid, which everybody's been waiting for fucking at least more than 10 years. It's going to crush. And if the Xbox is already going to lose to the PlayStation, hands down. What they're fighting for second place. And if they don't get their shit together, they're going to lose to Nintendo, like by a wide margin, because Nintendo is basically the king of exclusives, if you want to be honest. Like if you look at all like their major franchises, they're all exclusives.
oh, for certain, their first party lineup. I mean, it's their first party lineup: Metroid, Zelda, Smash, and you know the racing, the kart racing. They're solid franchises. Now I will say though, for this gen, I mean, Sony was absolutely no fucking slouch with God of War and Spidey and Horizon and all these others and Last of Us 2. But yeah, right. Exclusives matter. They really do. They separate you from the fucking pack. I want to be able to play this game that I can only play on this piece of plastic. Okay, you know where you're going to go for that. So yeah, we're gonna see.
All right, can we move on to some dankness?
What you got?
Please, Jesus. We talk about Lovecraft Country.
Let me,
I'm serious.
before you go there,
talk about Lovecraft
before you
Country.
go there, I am caught up on this fucking show.
All
All
right.
right, cool.
So
So we
I'm
can talk about
now a Lovecraft watcher.
There we go. Let's do
so
it.
before
Well, Blue, why don't you set us up then? This most recent one.
Well, I'll let him set it up, but I just want to say before we get into it, just a shout out to Jamie Chung, who goddamn did she act her ass off in this episode. And it also puts a fucking nail in the coffin for anybody that was like, man, fuck subtitles. Read them subtitles of this episode. Enjoy it.
Enjoy yourself. All right, first, I just want to start off with, when I watched the first episode, that time cut jump confused the fuck out of me too. Like, even though I knew it was coming, you guys talked about it, I was like, what the fuck? Like, how did it go from the road to a dinner party, then like back on the road again? Like, what the fuck just happened there? But so this episode, we go back in time. We go back to when what's the dude's name?
Tick.
Yeah, where Tick he's serving for our military service. He's over in Korea, but the story starts off with this young girl. It's the girl that Tick talked to on the phone in previous episode, and we kind of get to learn her background. She's chilling with her mother. They're making kimchi like you do in Korea. And they're talking about like, yeah, you need to get out and get a man. You need to bring a man home and this and that. And she's like, Mom, I don't. It's almost like fucking Mulan. Like, you need to find yourself a suitor. And so it kind of jumps forward a little bit, and it turns out she's a nurse. She's learning how to be a nurse, and she's got this one friend, this one hot friend of hers who's like getting all the guys, and all of a sudden they kind of go to a. It looks like a.
That friend wasn't hot. That friend was not hot. She was definitely way hotter.
Oh yeah, true that. But then we kind of jumped ahead to they're like on a speed date. I'm like, wow, they had speed dating back then in like the 1960 something this took place or
50s,
something like
50s.
that. Like yeah, 1950s. And so like she's in love with like American movies. Like what is it?
Judy Garland.
Yeah, she's in love with Judy Garden, and she's like talking to guys and kind of being kind of weird towards them, and they're like marking her down, like, "Oh no, you're not. I'm not interested in you. Not interested in you." And she comes across this one dude who's like, you know what? Like, yeah, I'm down with that. I love American shows too, but it's still gonna be a no for me, dog." It's fucking like bounces on her. So she ends up going to a bar, and she sees it. She's like chilling in a chair. Oh wait, one thing that was interesting was that the guy that was singing on the stage was singing in Spanish. Did you guys notice that?
Yep.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes, I
like
did.
when he was speaking Spanish, I was like, wait, he speaking Spanish? Like, what the fuck? And he was sounding smooth too. But yeah, so she sees a dude from across the bar, and he kind of gave her that eye. She kind of gave him that eye, and then all of a sudden they're back at her place. And kind of a cool fact is that that guy she like brings back to her place. It was a dude from he was in Heroes. He
Mhm.
was Hiro Nakashima's friend who
Oh
hung
yeah,
out with
yeah.
him. But this one it took a twist for the good. But like yeah, they're about to get down and busy, and like you know you get a little see a little something here and there, and like dudes on top of her, they're like making out, and it's so weird because she just stared at him, like her eyes are just focused at him. You can see his reflection in her eyeballs, and then all of a sudden a fucking tail started coming out of her. I'm not sure if it was her badge or an ass or something, but then like shit started coming out of her ears, out of her nose. Dude's fucking about to bust a nut, and all of a sudden like fucking her eyeballs shot forward and like sucked into his eyes, and like the tail went in his ass, and I was like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah.
And he's all floating in the air, and like she's all holding him up in the air, and all of a sudden he just fucking explodes and blood's all over the place. And the mom just comes walking in, it's like, oh hey, good job, good job. I'm like, what the fuck is going on?
Only 99
Yeah,
more.
yeah, so apparently she's a was it nine-tailed fox, and the mom
Yes.
summoned her because of her husband was molesting her daughter, and she wanted to bring back honor to the family by like having this fox kind of punished. So the main story of the fox is that it punishes man who does disgusting things basically.
Mhm.
And so that's why the mom had the fox summoned. But like during this time, I guess there's a bunch of communist things that are going on. So one of her friends is kind of a commie or a communist, and like in this point in time, they're like killing communists. They're like hanging them in the fucking street, and people are shouting, like, "Hey, yeah, fuck you, you're gonna die, blah blah." But this is where Tick meets her for the first time. Is her unit or her apparently some information is being leaked from her hospital thing, and so the army gets involved, and they take all of the nurses and they basically have them get on their knees, and they're like, hey, one of your guys are leaking out secrets, one of your guys are fucking communist spy, who the fuck is it? And they don't care who if the person is the communist or not, they just shoot him dead in the head, just bow, and just fucking fall on the ground. And Tick is one of the guys that are performing the murder, and right when he's about to kill, or no, once one of the people are about to kill the main Korean girl. What was her name on this? I can't remember what her name was, but Jamie's character.
Gian?
Yeah, the person who is the person who's a communist speaks out, and they fucking like knock her out, drag her away, and then like another two bodies are just fucking sitting there bleeding to death. And so the girl being the nine-tail, she's like, oh, I know who the next person I'm gonna fucking kill is gonna be, and so she goes after Tick. But turns out Tick's a pretty nice guy. Well, the whole reason why the whole reason why she was gonna go after him is because he actually gets injured in battle, and so he ends up in her hospital, and she's like gonna treat him or whatever. But she basically becomes nice with them. They're both into like similar things. They love reading books, and they kind of get along and kind of. It's almost like the scene from what is it? The Last Samurai. How the guy fucking killed the woman's husband, but basically they get together at the end. So they're flirty, and she determines that she doesn't want to kill him anymore. She just wants to be.
Yeah, hold on, but
Go for it.
real quick, sorry, before you finish that part, there's an important part of the story that maybe you missed or you just forgot about, is that she's supposed to, if she kills 99, or sorry, 100 people, then she becomes a human.
Yeah.
And so she's on number 99. Tick is number 100.
Yeah.
Yep.
So go from there.
So she decided to like, no, I'm not gonna kill him. Like she actually might have feelings for him, but like since she's a fucking demon, she can't have feelings. Like what the fuck are you talking about? But eventually like she goes to have sex with him, and Tick tells her that he's a virgin, which I'm like, well, what the fuck? I didn't know, because I remember he had sex with homegirl, Smoothie's sister, and she had said that she was a virgin.
Yep.
But anyway, so she's like, oh, I'm not a virgin. It's like she's damn near about to rape him at this point. But no, they end up having sex, and like her tentacle thing starts to come out, but she's able to control them and kind of go back in, and she like realized like, oh, like she really cares about this person, blah, whatever. So kind of jumping forward a little bit, I can't remember I'm trying to think what happens next. It was such a good fucking episode. Yeah, I guess like she actually teaches Tick about the nine-tailed fox, and that's where you learn about the whole nine-tailed fox and the whole situation with that. And Tick just kind of takes it as a story tale, but it's later.
A fairy tale.
Yeah, I can't remember. There was a point where, it's a point where she confronts him about killing her friend, and he's like mad at her because she knew the whole time that he was the one that killed her, and so he was like, oh, you were playing me, and she's like, no, like I got to know you and realized like you're not that soldier that the war is making you out to be. Like you're this real sweet person, and like I'm an innocent person too. Like she didn't want to be a fucking monster. Like she was fucking summoned, and like that's just that's the way life dealt for her. But so there's another scene where they're fucking again, and and yeah, her tentacles actually come out again, or her tails come out, and they fucking jack into him like the fucking Matrix basically, and she gets to see some of his memories. Well, that's this part that was confusing me, that she saw memories and the future too. So like there's a scene where he's having sex to somebody else. It wasn't the Smoothie sister, it was like another black girl, but it gave me the impression that, okay, he wasn't a virgin, he was lying to her this whole fucking time. But then he also got to see how they fucking killed her friend. Like they fucking pulled out her teeth and fucking basically fucking mutilated her. But you got to see his reaction to it, because he was like, oh my god, like I can't believe this shit's fucking happening. But then you get to see the future. So I mean, from her point of view, Tick is gonna fucking die. And so after all this happened, like she tries to warn him, like, hey, yeah, don't go back home, because if you go home, you're gonna fucking die. Like she saw the future, like she knows you're gonna die. And so Tick still comes back to America, but the mom and the girl, they go back to this wise man or witch. She's a witch, she's a voodoo doctor, something like that. And they go up to the mountain of snow, and basically they're trying to, I guess, end the curse or something like that, or try to save Tick. But the wise woman is like, no, like, sorry, he's gonna fucking die. Like that's just how it fucking is, and that's kind of where it ends. I mean, I jumped over a lot of stuff, but like that was pretty much the gist of the fucking episode. It was rude.
Dude, all I'm gonna say is this gave me live action vibes of Soul Eater with the whole 99 bodies, trying to get to 100 with that great anime. And then of course, whenever you talk about Ninetale, I'm thinking of Naruto Uzumaki, with the whole Ninetale stuff. And I mean, it has some great Asian lore. Obviously, this is Korean, but it had some great Asian folklore stuff in it.
Yeah, but you fucked up. You didn't even talk about tentacle rape.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
There was tentacle rape in the episode. I mean, like, for real.
I was gonna say it's reverse tentacle rape, but
it's
just regular tentacle rape.
Yeah, no. I mean, a lot of fucking.
Yeah.
And
I forgot about the soldier boy too. The white guy the number 99, the one that got her up to 99. Like because whenever she like absorbs somebody, or at least like attaches to them, she absorbs their memories. So one of her victims was her mom's husband, and basically like she had his memories,
Yep.
And like, there's like a point where she's confronting the mom, like using his memories against her, but acting like it's the memories of the little girl. And like, I was like, man, that's some fucked up shit. Like, he basically was like, I didn't marry you because you had money or you were beautiful. I married you because I wanted your daughter or something like that. I'm like, fuck, man,
Nasty.
that's just fucking twisted.
Yeah.
Holy fuck, man.
But it's-
Stitch, what did you think of this one?
It was good. I mean, it's crazy. Normally, you think of foxes as like kind of cute, clever, but cunning animals. Nah, they changed the narrative. They completely changed the narrative. I mean, you remember Tails from Sonic and everything with cute little tails, and he could fly around like a little helicopter. No, you don't want any part of those tails now and everything. So crazy episode. Really, really good. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and it was really cool to get a little bit of insight of why Tick is going through what he's going through now, for what he did in the war and stuff like that. Like, he was just like completely stone cold killer, but then you could see that like the war had changed him, and that's not who he was, and he was just struggling internally. So it was really well written and well acted on his part. So it just hit all the notes for that entire episode. I thought it was really cool.
Kronos, get in here. What are your views?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I mean, this show has been spot on, except for like episode 2. It had like a stumble. We had a really strong episode 1. Episode 2 was stumbled a little bit, but ever since then, the show has been super solid. I put it up there with The Watchmen for me, from last year, which got all kinds of accolades at the Academy Awards.
Emmys.
Was that it, or the Emmys? I didn't watch it, but I know they got a bunch of awards, which they deserve. I mean, it was a fantastic show, and I hope that this show gets the same sort of accolades. It's fantastically done, and I think that it gets extra points for stealing a narrative away from a racist, and really just kind of like, listen, they rewrote our history for forever, and stolen and fucking covered up our history, and for us to take some of that back from somebody else, I think is really awesome. The stories that they're telling are really good, especially given the different ethnic groups that they're telling you about. They're going deep into these ethnic lores with with the Nine Tails that we talked about, like what Prodigy said. I had no idea that the Nine Tail mythology was in Korea as well. I thought it was a Japanese thing. And then it's funny because this week I started watching. Didn't start watching. I watched one of the latest episodes of God of High School.
Oh yeah.
And the Nine Tails it's a Korean anime, but the Nine Tails is in there too.
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh shit! So I was like, so I had to look it up. It's like, yeah, it's in multiple Eastern Asian cultures. Is the Nine-tailed fox. So I thought that was really cool to like really get into the nitty gritty. And obviously they already went super deep into African American culture, especially back then. I think this is how you do, diversity correctly. It's not just copying and pasting and like changing up genders and fucking ethnic groups. You actually take your time to sit down, go into lore, see what the ethnic group is all about, and then write a decent story, a really compelling story. And I love that that's what we're getting to now, instead of this fucking cheesy ass bullshit that we were getting in the past that I was so angry about, that we did literally panels about.
Yeah, we did.
And now we're finally getting respect on shit like this. So thank you, HBO, for doing it more than once.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I gotta give props to HBO. I mean, they've changed some of the national conversations about race in a time where we're already having a whole lot of national conversations about race, in terms of incorporating historical nonfiction into fictitious stories. Like, that's just brilliant. You know what I mean? I didn't know this happened. Oh, now we look it up. You know what I mean? And that's just awesome. You know what I mean? It's super fun. And then I wasn't expecting this level of lore, Korean lore in this show. It just kind of came out of left field, but the execution was there. And then just to have a Korean demon lady, have an appreciation for 1950s era Hollywood. You know what I mean? It was trippy. And she does a musical stuff. Like, she's killing people in a bloody, violent way, and she's also doing kind of this musical ensemble that's like well crafted and singing and shit too.
You know, I'm glad you brought that up because I actually forgot to talk about this. So, like, literally, when I watched her watching the Super American movies, me and Kay had a sidebar about how, like, if you're America to like most of the world, especially back then, it was seen as like this this monolith of everything that you wanted. You know what I mean? You're free. We're the land of the free. You have all this opportunity and shit like that. But once you get here, if you don't look like a certain person, you can have a very difficult time here. And I think that it's like America has like a really weird, how do I put it? It's very easy for the American way of life to not happen for a lot of people. That's putting it like kind of
Mildly.
very mild.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Yeah.
But they alluded to that, I think, brilliantly. This is where the writing comes into play again. When they had, and it was really brief, but when they had the Korean American soldier talk about his experience with being drafted and how he's being treated, both by Koreans in Korea and by, obviously, the mainstream U.S. public. I thought that was just, it was brief, but I thought it was brilliant.
Yeah, I really like that as well. And it's like, well, what's crazy, this is going to get into like a semi-tangent, but have you guys, I'm pretty sure Prodigy has, but the whole thing about ADOS.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So ADOS, for people that don't know, it's American Descendants of Slaves, right? So it's when you're black, but it's like a, how do I put it in a non-offensive way for people? So there's people that come to America from Africa that have never experienced, their ancestors have never experienced slavery. And so I will bring up, for the perfect example, it would be Nigerians. So Nigerians, when they come to America and they immigrate here, especially now and like in the past 30 years, they've experienced literally zero downsides of what it was like to be, or not zero, but the minimal amount of racism that you could possibly get with having your skin color this dark. So they could move wherever they wanted to. So that was one of the first advantages that they had when they immigrated here, is they could live wherever they wanted to. Right? But for you know, American descendants of slaves, up until like the fucking basically the late 1960s, early 1970s, even kind of beyond that, you couldn't really live where the fuck you really wanted to live. And so that's where I think that where most Americans don't really seem to understand, it's like, because there was this whole thing where Americans were taught that black people, Africans in general, had some low IQ, that we're fucking dumb by design. But it totally was not true. If you look at if you look at just schoolwork alone, Nigerian and African immigrants have some of the highest college acceptance
rates of acceptance.
Rates, sorry, of all time. And it just gets totally ignored. They want you to believe that black people are fucking stupid as shit. But the problem is that we live in communities to where America has traditionally not given us funding. So you're putting us all in shitty schools, or the vast majority of us, in shitty schools, and you're expecting us to be somehow excellent. Where it's like, you're not investing in us, so how the fuck can we possibly be exceptional? You know, it's very hard to be exceptional with no investment. Go ahead.
Can I just add really quickly, just a point of order and clarification, because this may be a new concept that Kronos brought up to some people. In fact, to a lot of people. I just learned about it maybe less than a year ago. Someone like Sammy Sosa, or the baseball player Big Papi from Boston, David Ortiz, that would also not be an example of ADOS, because if you're coming from Brazil or the Dominican Republic or Panama, and you're black, but you're part of the quote unquote African diaspora, dispersed because of the transatlantic slave trade to other countries, and you immigrate to America, you also have a different cultural experience similar to what Kronos was describing with the Nigerians or West Africans coming over, but it's in a slightly different context. Yes, you look exactly like me, Kronos, or Old Ninja or whatever, but there's different cultural things that you're experiencing here and what you experienced where you grew up, and so it is primarily about. Nothing's better or worse or whatever. It's not any racial superiority bullshit or even nationality bullshit of superiority. It's more about being able to identify that there's a unique set of circumstances and history that Black people in this country have experienced and had, and just making sure that that's recognized and not trying to lump all people in the African diaspora, regardless of where you immigrated from, in the same bucket per se all the time.
Yeah, and I think even beyond, what you said that's excellent. Yeah, it's that all that shit. It's totally correct. And I think that people they don't understand that part of the whole being a descendant of slave, it has lasting consequences to children, especially when it comes to disciplining your children. And I'm gonna be totally honest, people, kids getting fucking beat. I'm not saying spanked. When I say beat, I literally mean beat.
Yep.
And I've been on the receiving end of many beatings in my childhood, and that is directly from slavery.
Yep.
All right, and that's something that I doubt that most other people from African descent really have to deal with. It's probably to a much lesser extent. And somebody else brought up in the chat, which I was kind of alluding to, but I guess I'll say specifically when I said that, if you're an American descendant of slaves and you were living here up until the 1970s, 1960s, 1970s, even into the 80s, redlining is the specific word to where you couldn't live where the fuck you wanted to live. They forced us into ghettos that had literally very little public services. You couldn't get buses out of the area. There was no investments into education. There was no parks. There was none of that shit. It's redlining where you had to live there. And if you happen to find somebody that would let you buy their house outside of a Black community, they would run you out of that community. After you bought your house, the Caucasian people would see you there,
yep.
And they would sometimes bomb your home. And if you want to hear, this is from, I will let Prodigy talk about the book because he's the one who recommended it.
Oh,
There's a book.
yeah. I mean, we've mentioned it before, but The Color of Law by Richard Rothstein, I think he's a Berkeley economist, well-researched. It gives some solutions. I was also going to give one quick shout out. I know we get a little long-winded sometimes on this, but it's a great subject. I actually saw this PBS documentary that fucking floored me on this same subject. It was Independent Lens. And it talked about in the 1970s, the Bronx was, or just prior, in the 1960s, it was this super diverse area with Jewish, Italian, Puerto Ricans, Black folks, pretty much living together, which was unprecedented all over the rest of the country. Well, in the 1970s, they, because of redlining and a whole bunch of other reasons, they just firebombed basically 80% of the Bronx. And it was this fascinating story that was this mix of redlining, gentrification, and then the city fucking up and not allowing Black or brown communities to do anything except for fucking burn. I mean, it was only an hour long, but holy shit, I couldn't recommend it more. Just to get personal stories in the nation's biggest fucking city of how much they didn't fucking care, burning up places that had families living in them. It just 80% of the Bronx burned in the 1970s, and there were nothing but fucking trash heaps all over there. It was absolutely amazing to hear firsthand accounts and see footage of, and it goes right along with Richard Rothstein's Color of Law book.
Well, it's because in America they need us poor. People don't really understand. We need a new capitalism.
Yeah.
Capitalism has worked for a very long time. I'm not saying get rid of capitalism, but we need a new one. All right. So most people don't really seem to understand is that capitalism here in America, it really, what gets us really prepares us forward is poor people and slaves. All right. So poor people are the ones that are doing the menial labor that everybody needs them to do. When you hear essential workers, those are many of them are menial labor people, and plus the slave laborers from prison. Those are the reasons why we have all our prices so low. We also use slave laborers from other countries, but they focus on that, but not slave labor here in America, because there's multiple companies here in America that rely on prison labor, which is slave labor, to produce their products. And it's because capitalism run amok is to get the lowest prices possible so that we'll all buy their products. But the problem is that they're doing it in an unethical way to where they're using slave labor to make their products artificially low. And it's fucking wrong.
Can I add one more recommendation? I'm sorry. I know you got me going, Carlos. God damn it. There's one more documentary. Same PBS. PBS is just awesome. They had one on Independent Lens on Dolores Huerta. And it goes along these same lines. For those of you who don't know, if you've heard of Cesar Chavez, rather, she was the right-hand woman for Cesar Chavez. She's the one that came up with the slogan, Si se puede, means yes we can, or whatever. Basically, I didn't really know about this all that much, but in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, holy shit, this woman, again, 5'1", maybe 100 pounds soaking wet, kind of like RBJ or RBG, put her life on the fucking line over and over and over again for people who were immigrants and people who didn't speak the language very often, and mostly were Latino, and flat out abused, poisoned doing their jobs, and underpaid, and they didn't want them to represent themselves. Fascinating stories. She's still alive. Look up her.
It's still happening today. Like literally, the way you just explained it is still happening today.
Yep.
Like they have people like there's a photo that came out when all these fires are happening in California. And it's a photos of migrant workers. I assume if there weren't migrant workers, I don't know if they were legal or illegal, but there were definitely, Mexican or some sort of South American workers. But they're literally out there working the fields, while in the background, there's fires in the background. There's smoke. You can't even fucking see the sun. The whole background's orange and gray from fucking fire and smoke, and they are still out there picking our food and getting paid basically not nothing, but it's near fucking.
And they didn't have math or anything on either. Like their employees.
Yeah.
Hey, Prodigy, that documentary about the Bronx, what they call it, Decade of Fire?
Yes, it is. Great job, Blue. Thanks. I got so excited I didn't even mention the name of it. My bad.
Yeah, I went off and did a little research.
Yeah, sorry. Sometimes we go, but I'm not gonna say I'm sorry anymore.
No, fuck it.
Because it's like, listen, we talk about bullshit all the time. Like we talk about God of War, fucking games and all that shit. You guys enjoy that, so enjoy educating yourselves on fucking real problems.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If you're just about, which I was for a long time in my life, I love gaming, I love fucking doing all this dirty shit. But at the same time, people are hurting.
Yep.
So understand why they're hurting. I think not enough people on this planet are interested in seeing the pain that this world is still going through, historically and currently. And it's so easy for us to just ignore it. But on this podcast, we're gonna show it to you.
Yep.
We're gonna talk about it. We'll mix in. Obviously, we're gonna talk more about other shit, but we're gonna tell you about this shit.
Absolutely.
And it's how we've done it from a couple months ago, when it's all this civil unrest first started. Because if you just ignore this shit and don't address it at all, then it's willful ignorance, and you're just gonna keep the status quo here in America. And the status quo is no longer acceptable to, I think, all of us on this podcast, I believe, right? At least to me.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about it.
You have to have your head buried. I was gonna say, you have to have your head buried in the sand to not realize that a lot of things that are going to be happening over the next, for our lifetime, is going to be affected by what happens in the next 40, 50 something days or whatever. So it's like,
This is true.
you have to be educated, and you can't just sit idly. And then, because people just have this lazy ass mentality of just not doing anything, then we'll just complain and bitch on social media or change their Facebook profile picture to a flag or a fucking black square or whatever like that, when you can actually do real legitimate work or affect change or educate yourself or other people that need to know what the fuck is going on and what is potentially at risk. I don't want to go back on it fully, but all you got to do is look at what is potentially at risk with going on in the Supreme Court of the United States right now, and just type in your fucking Google search and educate yourself on what things could be at risk, especially if you're a woman and you are concerned about like women rights and Roe versus Wade and everything. Like, just educate yourself. Even if you are a man, at least understand that there's a large percentage of people that could be greatly adversely affected by the overturning of possible Supreme Court laws just based on somebody's decision of who they think should be allowed to just change rules at a whim. Just educate yourself, be smart.
Let me tell all the dudes out there for a minute. I'm going to give you two perspectives, all right? I'll just say it. So we all talk about how, you know, if you're African American, back in like the pre-civil rights days, we were 3/5 of a person, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what a woman was considered at the same time?
Nothing.
Not even a fucking person. But there is one caveat that I will say, because when I thought about that, I was like, damn, that's really fucked up, because it's totally true. They weren't considered people. But at the same time, women, especially Caucasian women, they were at least protected.
Yep.
All
That's
right?
true.
So that's the caveat that I will give.
That's true.
And that's still, like, if you talk about, like, white women's tears, it's a real thing. Fucking in America, once a fucking white chick starts fucking crying, everything fucking stops. And that's still to this day.
Yep.
All right, and this is, you can find me on that shit.
Yeah.
That's the way it works. That's why we have Karens. All right.
Truth.
So just recognize that. Still, when it was 3/5 of a person, that 3/5 of a person was a 3/5 of a person as an African American man. It did not apply to African American women.
No.
All right, or any woman in America.
No.
So there's a lot of like lies here in America when they say like all men are created equal. They meant just white dudes and no women. So just recognize that shit.
I'm going to sound like a fucking broken record, which is weird for me, but another PBS documentary.
Read this. PBS. I was going to say, book or PBS.
Was,
You on the payroll?
I know, obviously I am. But they had one that opened my eyes to quite a bit. I've just been this history fucking nerd of late. It was on the suffrage movement. And I'm going to tell you flat out, my elementary, junior high, and high school, and even college education on that suffrage movement time period in the early 1900s was woefully inadequate. I did not realize just how many women died, marched, fought for these rights, and it was not given to them. They fought tooth and nail strategically, and you need to give just as much credit as you do with the civil rights movement as you do for the suffrage movement that was brilliantly well orchestrated. And again, these are some very smart ladies that put their lives on the line. And
What's the name? What's the name?
oh, it was called God damn it, the Right to Vote. Shit. Of course, you're gonna put me on the spot. Keep talking. I'll find it. Hold on.
Well, I was going to talk about something else. I want to know if you knew about the cunt that was against the women's rights movement. I forget her fucking name, but she was a total cunt. She was like, I don't want to work. I want my man to tell me what to do. My man allowed me to be up here right now. I forget her fucking name, but she was a total cunt that was trying to say out all women.
Yeah, was it Candace Owens?
God damn.
That's great.
No, it wasn't Candace Owens. It was some fucking chick who, like, her husband was like on the Senate or some shit, and she got up on stage and she was like, my husband allowed me to be up here. That's right. He allowed me, blah, 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 blah. And she was like the face of like the anti-women movement. It's like, I get it that you're comfortable, but there's people out there that are not comfortable in their lives and they want to fucking work and provide for their families. They might not have some fucking rich ass husband, you stupid ass.
Yeah, no
So
shit.
what the fuck is wrong with you? Like,
It was called
so silly.
The Vote, and it was like a four-part
Okay.
series. Really well researched, well documented, and pretty powerful stuff. So
They should have called that chick Sambo.
God
Yeah,
damn.
it'll be Sambo going forward and not fucking Uncle Tom because Uncle Tom was a decent dude.
Mm-hmm.
Do your research.
There you fucking go.
Yeah.
I'm gonna. This is the weirdest segue in the fucking world, but I gotta give a quick shout out. Shout out to fucking BTS. I know we have not done a fucking react for a long time. These motherfuckers literally took over the fucking world. They have their own goddamn army. They have an army on Twitter. We've given them props for some of their BLM and some other encouragement that they've given to Americans and Black Americans specifically. But holy shit, they're taking over Fortnite for a music video. They saw Travis Scott, I think it was last year, do that shit where he had that big psychedelic video. And they were just like, hold my beer. We are BTS. We are Korea's army, and we're going to do it even bigger. I think that's coming next week. I'll get the exact.
We say Korean's army. We have to say South Korea's army.
Yes. You're right. I don't want to get in trouble.
Our supreme leader. No. Not
Is that motherfucker dead or alive, goddammit? I keep seeing rumors.
I'm like 99% sure he's fucking dead.
Yeah. Okay. Do we have... did you want Blue? Did you want to switch gears, or did you have a be the bee?
Yeah, I have something I wanted to talk about.
Okay.
So I had to have a little talk with HR, and I had to register under the sex offender thing because I watch Cuties on Netflix.
Oh, no! What the fuck?
The Sweetest and I watched it the other day, and actually,
how you gonna throw her under the bus?
It's not that bad of a movie. Like, I mean. See, this is tricky because, like, okay, we had when we first started watching the movie, we said, like, okay, if shit gets ridiculous, we're turning this shit off. But we watched the entire thing, and there are some scenes that are cringy, but, like, the whole story is about this little girl whose dad is, like, you know, about to marry some other woman, and that woman's gonna start living in their house, and she's kind of being rebellious about it all, and, like, I think they're Nigerian. And so she's only known like this one lifestyle, and then eventually she sees some girls who are like, they're the kind of the cool girls, kind of in a way, but they're like a group of girls that are trying to become like professional dancers, but like their whole vision of dancing is like what they see in fucking videos, so they think like dancing has to be like sexualized, but actually it's not that. Like the girls actually they model after this other dance group. And they're not sexual at all. It's usually this other girl who finds this other. She basically finds Nicki Minaj and see her dancing style and seeing how sexy she dances and stuff. And that's what leads these girls into trying to dance more sexual. But like, it ties into the story. But there's like, I mean, there's still scenes that are like cringy. Like, you know, it's like, why are they focusing on like the little girl's butt? Like, what the fuck is that? Or like, there's a scene where she like spreads her legs open while she's dancing on the stairs. I'm like, okay, they didn't need to fucking do this. Like those are scenes that were cringeworthy. But like the whole storyline, the story of the show or the movie was actually pretty fucking good, and it all kind of made sense. But then like there wasn't like pervert guys like trying to hit on them. There's like a scene where the girls are 11 years old and they're like trying to flirt with some 16-year-olds, but the girl accidentally says that they're 11. The boy's like, oh, what the fuck? Like go back to training school or something like that. So there's nobody like sexualizing these kids. There's no like, you know, perverts kind of jacking off to watching them dance like that. There's a scene where the girls are dancing sexually and there's an audience there, and the audience are like fucking super disgusted by it. They're like, what the fuck is going on? And then eventually the girl realizes with like the way they're dancing isn't appropriate, and she like breaks down and starts crying and like goes home or something like that. But like, I don't know. I mean, it's the scenes are cringeworthy. There's like a few of them. But the storyline is actually like really good. Like it's really hard because like the Sweetest Night we also watched Dirty Dancing, like you know like with Patrick Swayze and stuff like that. And like that movie was more like, because first of all, baby's only 16 and she's dancing with this grown ass man and they're dancing like bumping and like, you know how like back in high school like everybody was fucking grinding on each other, and this grown ass man is dancing with this 16-year-old girl like hella grinding on her, and she's like dancing all confused and stuff like that. Like we actually stopped watching the movie because we thought that was more cringeworthy than Cuties was. But
well, the thing is though is that, you know, Dirty Dancing was it wasn't that long ago, but I mean it was like what, the 80s or early 90s? I think it was the 80s, right?
Yeah,
Or even
yeah, I think it was
late 80s.
86,
Yeah, so
80,
yeah,
87.
it's gross,
Oh, now, yeah.
but it was more acceptable back then. But it's still gross today.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that our morals today have
Yeah.
changed. It's like today. I mean, obviously we don't have slaves, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because we know it's morally wrong. But back in the day, people they're more morally loose than we are today. It was more acceptable to take advantage of somebody back then.
Yeah. But the cuties, I mean, like I said, there's cringeworthy moments, but it isn't like some pedophiles like wet fucking dream, basically. But it's still it's it's in that gray area kind of, yeah. But I just wanted to talk about that a little bit.
Damn. Okay. I mean,
And it's
I
in
can't say
French.
shit. You saw it. I didn't.
Yeah, it's in French, so there's subtitles, or you can watch it in badly dubbed English.
Oh.
Goddamn.
Okay,
Real quickly.
one quick thing, real quick. Like the girl who wants to be part of this group, she wants to be part of this group really bad, and she almost kills another fucking girl. She like pushes her ass in the fucking lake. That's it.
Goddamn.
But you can't swim. I mean, goddamn.
The BTS takeover is on Friday, so sign on to Fortnite, even if you don't play the game anymore, and just watch them. Some really pretty boy South Koreans take over the entire Fortnite world.
So you're talking about other way of making it?
Yeah, exactly.
Nah, that's lip gloss. What are you talking about?
People get so mad about that shit when we say it. We point it out. They're wearing. We don't even say anything bad about them wearing makeup.
No.
We just say they're wearing makeup, and people get so fucking mad.
Yeah, it's interesting culturally. Every time we did a react, we always noted it because it was just so, I won't say off-putting, but it was just so obvious. We were just like, whoa, that's a lot of makeup, you know?
Well, so this is the thing for me is like me personally. Nobody else on the podcast. I have a problem with makeup in general. Okay, when men or women wear it, I don't fucking get it. You know, me and Kim had conversations about it. I'm just like, I don't get why you wear makeup. Like, you don't have to wear makeup. I don't. To me, it's like you pretend like you're something that you're not. It's like it's just weird to me. You know, it's like going out wearing a mask every fucking day. Like it's not what you look like. So, but I guess I'm in the minority here for living fucking reality.
I mean, I love it when Joker was putting on his. Okay.
Like him, there's like a comedian that said something like, "I love it when my girl wears makeup because it's almost like I'm sleeping with two different people."
Yeah, because especially, oh my god, like if you go on Instagram, right, like, well, especially right now, there's these chicks that they wear so much makeup, which like I can't tell. It's like that's not what the fuck you look like.
Yeah.
It's not what you look like. I can tell that you look real fucking homely with all that makeup. You know, you putting on fucking 75,000 different layers of fucking bullshit on your face. You know, yeah, I mean you look quote unquote good, but you don't look real.
Yeah. Take it to the water park. First date.
Yeah.
See that shit wash off. God damn it.
Any bees and BTIs?
Yeah. Do we have any bees?
I haven't checked in a while. Let me search the interwebs
All right.
as we do a little.
There was
swag
a
away.
dank one that I think I can't remember who posted it in the dirty group or whatever on Facebook. It's the one.
Okay.
Did you guys see it? The one about your mom and dad?
Hold on.
What?
There was one we didn't answer. I know that shit.
I'll throw it into the chat and we'll talk about it next time because I thought
Alright.
it was the dirtiest. It probably was one of those questions we can't answer.
God damn.
Don't go down Old Ninja's Road.
Yeah. He got
Oh, no,
suspended last time.
It's not that kind of question.
Oh, nothing new. I mean, the last one we had was from Dirty Stu, and we answered it last week.
Oh.
You know, Dirty Stu called me out. I forgot to answer his question, Dirty Stu. He was surprised that I did not have Breath of the Wild.
Oh, yeah.
And yes, I was surprised too, Dirty Stu. I totally forgot until you mentioned it. So yeah, Breath of the Wild should have been on my list. So
There you go.
thank you for keeping me honest.
Really quickly before we wrap things up, Stitch, you got a chance to play Black Ops Cold War Alpha. Did you like it? More Call of Duty?
It's fun, I guess. I mean, I enjoy the modern-ish weapons of Modern Warfare rather than going back to like 1981 and playing with those weapons. But it was the multiplayer alpha, as they called it, and it was all right. I mean, I'm not gonna get really excited. I'm not a Call of Duty fanboy. I really do enjoy Warzone, but it's essentially more of the same stuff that I'm sure is just going to make a shit ton of money. I will say that the trailer though did look pretty. I don't know if we fully discussed what the trailer was for the Cold War for Call of Duty, but it did look really good for the campaign stuff. Like it looked really detailed. You got Reagan in it and all kinds of shit. So that did look good, but I mean, it was fun. But it's and people are excited for it, and they really did enjoy it based on what I'm seeing online. But I won't pick it up, but it was fun. And from what I see, there's some sort of like connection where if you have modern warfare and you get the Cold War, I guess you can play together on the Warzone part of it. From what I'm seeing, I don't know the full details, but maybe Old Ninja would be better to explain it if he was here. But it looks like you can kind of play a little bit of the two, or that your battle pass works for both or something. So that part seemed pretty cool.
Cool. Well, the reason why I'm a little bit interested in it, and I played just a few rounds of it. I wanted to play more of the zombie mode, but it was only multiplayer. It felt super weird to me because the motions for throwing a grenade seemed like it took 3 or 4 seconds to throw a grenade. I don't know if you found that as well.
Yeah, I do. Now that you brought that up, yeah, that part was weird. Was a little
like when I want to throw a grenade, I want to throw a grenade like 5 seconds ago. You know what I mean? Like slowing that down was frustrating, but it is what it is.
I think it did it give you like an arc
grenade,
circle?
bro?
Wait, one more time, Kratos?
I said, how fast you throw a grenade, bro?
Really slowly.
Can I tell you? This is hold on. Let me just tell you a personal story. There were 2 parts when I was I am a Marine. When I was going through training as a Marine, they were crazy stressful. One was the grenade throw.
Yeah.
Because I was just hoping that the fucking person throwing the grenade, a live grenade, actually fucking threw it and I didn't fucking die. And the second was when I was a fire team leader, and I had to be the first one to run ahead of everybody as they were firing behind me.
Damn.
So I was just like, please don't shoot me, but don't think about it. Just keep going.
Jesus Christ. No, look, I'm just trying to take my fictional, pixelated video game character that I'm controlling with this controller and have some fun. I am not trying to do some live action bullshit, but I wanna get kills. Anyway, we'll see. All right, let's wrap it on up. Blue, what you got populating this week?
Oh shit! What am I doing this week? Editing pictures. I finished up my friend's cosplay pictures the other day, and they came out amazing. They're really good, and she loved them, so I'm really happy about that. But I got the Professor Dankenstein's pictures I need to work on, which I was going through them, and they came out really good too. I was super nervous about that. I gotta do yard work. We're trying to get our windows replaced in the house, so we got a few people coming out getting quotes on windows. And windows fucking expensive. And our house was built in 1949, and I think they have the original windows, so they're not up to code. So
super thin, yeah.
Yeah, so like we wanted, what are they called? Right now we have Cathman windows. They're the ones that you have to turn the crank for the windows to open, and we wanted to go with that, but like the new fire code is that they basically have to be big enough for an adult man to get out of the window in case there's a fire. I'm like, I can get through there, but I don't have a body of a grown ass man, so. But so now they're bigger, so we won't be able to do that when we get new windows. But other than that, shit. My younger brother's birthday this weekend, so happy birthday to him. I think his birthday's on Saturday. Other than that, just chilling.
You think so, huh? You think so, huh?
I don't know what today's date is.
Jesus Christ. It's the 23rd now.
Okay, so yeah, it's on Saturday.
He's in the moment.
Yeah.
Stitch, since I forgot you last week, what you got going this week?
What I got going on? I think I'm going to try to cook some scallops. It's sort of like my Achilles heel. I've tried cooking scallops before, but scallops are really delicate and they're expensive, so you don't want to fuck them up time after time again and everything like that. So I'm gonna try again, cooking some scallops and try to make a pasta out of that or whatever, just to constantly level up the cooking during quarantine mode. I was going to get on the Division Two. The Division Two has that new game mode called Summit, which reminds me of the movie The Raid, where is it Tony Jaa? I think that's sort of fighting up this big ass like
No, it wasn't
building.
Tony Jaa, but yeah,
Oh, okay.
it was. I know what you're talking about though. It's a good movie.
Yeah, it
There's two
fucking
movies. Yeah.
yeah, it's so awesome. But they have a mode like that where you have to go through 100 floors of enemies, which sounds fucking awesome. And I guess you get some sort of like super cool loot when you do it. So I updated the Division 2. It trolled me. It says, "Oh, you've been gone for 411 days. Welcome back." So it's like okay. So I plan on playing that. And what else was there? Something else. Watching football, and then I think it's next week or maybe in 2 weeks. I'm actually going to go to Fresno to visit family and everything.
Nice.
So it'll be the first time the baby gets to see some other people other than us, outside of like the doctor and everything. So that'll be pretty cool.
Good shit. Kronos, what you got?
So in 2 weeks or thereabouts, I'm going to fly to Michigan and pick up my oldest daughter, and she's going to live here for a few months, hopefully more. I don't know. So we'll see. It's going to be pretty cool. So next week, I'm taking the week off to rearrange the house and probably get more stuff done around the Infinity Base. I'll put up the pictures or the paintings that I had. Because I have multiple paintings from both my oldest daughter and my girlfriend, K-Mac. I have ones of Thanos and Hulk and all kinds of other like really cool stuff that I'm gonna put up. But yeah, I'm looking forward to going out there and doing like a long road trip with my oldest daughter back here. I think that'll be really cool. Other than that,
Are you guys going to stop anywhere cool? Denver, Austin, or Santa Fe?
I'm trying to get here as fast as possible. We might stop for like a night somewhere, but I'm not really sure. We'll see. I'll kind of play it by ear. I'm taking, the whole week off, so maybe I'll take it a little bit slow. But so the podcast will obviously on the first week of October. You probably won't get the podcast on time. Just a heads up.
Okay.
Maybe I'll do like some kind of vlog on the way, like a little short podcast to my daughter or something. But you definitely won't get the podcast on Wednesday of the first week of October.
I feel like you guys are going to do like a Last of Us father-daughter road trip without the zombies. Hopefully.
Yeah. It should be cool. We'll see. It'll take us obviously a long time to get here.
Nice.
Are you going to quarantine her when she gets there? Like lock her in a room for fucking 2
Yeah.
weeks?
No, well, that's what this is the shitty part. Is that we're gonna get home, and then we're gonna wait for 8 days, then get the COVID-19 test. So K-Mac and my youngest daughter Riley, they're gonna have to be with their grandparents or with Riley's grandparents for at least 8 days after I get back to California, and then me and my oldest daughter will get tested, and if we're both negative, then we'll all get reunited again. But if not, then we'll have to quarantine for another 2 weeks.
Now, I want everybody to hear, Kronos, on that. That's what responsible family members do when they care about their loved ones.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, because what's going to happen is because the reason why she's coming out during the first week of October is because we need to have services for my mother.
Mm-hmm.
And so, my oldest daughter wanted to be here for that. So we're going to do the services like the Saturday after we get here. And then after that, I think we're going to wait 8 days and then get tested and then do the thing. But yeah, give a shit about your people. Like people don't want to talk about, the death rate for kids are so low. And, the death rates for older people that are over 70 is high. But it's like, listen, I guess if you don't interact with old people or older people, I don't want to call them old. They're fucking old. I'm old. If you don't interact with senior citizens on a regular basis, I guess I sort of get it, but you're also assuming that you're never going to come across them in daily life. It's just like, it's very weird to me that you're so flippant about possibly killing somebody on total accident because you don't want to wear a mask and take the precautions. Which is like my youngest daughter and even my oldest daughter, they have a good relationship with their grandparents. So it's like, why would I put their lives at risk for fucking what? Like I don't understand the point of doing that and of removing that relationship. It'd be it'd be so fucking devastating, especially my youngest daughter, if one of her grandparents died.
Yeah.
It'd be utterly devastating. And same thing with Prodigy. It'd be more than devastating. People don't even fucking seem to understand that if you have a good relationship with your grandparents and they just happen to die at a young age for some stupid bullshit. But I guess whatever, freedom, right?
Jesus. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh my God. All I got going on this weekend is really trying to pack up as much stuff. I'm going to be moving in early October as well. So got a house. That means we got to pack up our shit and move it from point A to point B. And in between, trying to watch, a little bit. I need to catch up on God of High School, and I've been flying through these goddamn One Piece episodes. That's one of the things that's been keeping me fucking sane. I think I'm going to start Death Stranding or Ghost of Tsushima finally, too. I'm going to try to get in a little bit of gaming with that. And that's it.
Games.
All right. We usually have Old Ninja take us out. Blue, do you want to try this, the final?
If I can do it right. All right, you then just wait. No, fuck, I already fucked up. You just experienced the biggest podcast on the goddamn planet, Black and Black times Infinity. You can find us on the interwebs at Black and Black times Infinity or BTI. We are on SoundCloud. We are on Amazon now. Amazon Podcast. They finally launched, and we are on that motherfucker. We're on Apple's podcast. iTunes podcast. What else is SoundCloud? No, that's SoundCloud. Stitcher FM, Player FM.
We're everywhere.
We're everywhere. Just Google us and you'll find us. Check out our website at benhabproduction.com/BTI, where you can kind of keep up to date with what we're doing. Check us out on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. We're all over the place.
Wash your balls before sex.
Yeah, there's one caveat about the Amazon thing. If you look up Black and Black times Infinity, you won't find us for some reason.
Oh.
But if you look up B then BTI, you'll find us on Amazon.
Okay.
So yeah, this is fucking weird. I was like, they sent us the email. They're like, you're on here. I looked it up and I was like, why are we on here? And then I looked at BTI. I was like, oh, there we go. It's silly or whatever.
South Korea's taking over Fortnite Friday.
Get you a Travis Scott meal.